Did you know that the average adult has 5 to 20 pounds of toxic poop in their body at any given moment? Seems crazy, right? All that poop just sitting there, rotting away inside their intestines and colon. Is it any wonder that colon disease is on the rise with all this waste just sitting inside your body? Most of this waste contains chemicals that your body rejected, but due to certain issues like constipation, you couldn't flush it all out effectively. So if you're feeling sluggish, bloated around the waist, or even just plain backed up, then give ZooPoo a try for 14 days. It will clean you out, guaranteed. Click through to read the hilarious reviews about how consistently effective ZooPoo truly is. It contains the perfect dosages of all natural ingredients that will get things moving and flush out that extra waste you're carrying around. You'll feel amazing when it's gone. As this toxic waste builds up, your body becomes a walking vessel of fecal toxicity. Once this happens, you begin to experience excess fatigue, weight gain, digestive issues like IBS, leaky gut syndrome, constipation and diarrhea, skin conditions like eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, and acne, brain fog, focus and attention issues, mood swings, anxiety and depression, and that's just the beginning. It might be a bit embarrassing to talk about your poop, but it has a huge impact on your health, and it's something that you have to understand if you want to look and feel your best. It might come as a shock, but your digestive system impacts the health of your entire body, and understanding the health of your digestive system begins with understanding your poop. If you're not producing well-formed stools after each meal, then you're most likely suffering from a toxic buildup inside your digestive system that's secretly causing all of your health concerns. New research suggests that most people have up to 8 undigested meals in their gut at any given moment, or possibly even more. This undigested food is secretly putting a huge strain on your digestive system, immune system, and overall health and well-being. As the quality of modern food has deteriorated with the invention of unnatural, hard-to-digest, heavily processed foods loaded with artificial flavors, preservatives, sweeteners, and GMOs, we're unknowingly putting a massive strain on our digestive system that's leading up to an epidemic of illnesses. As we consume more and more unnatural, manufactured, highly processed junk food, we begin overloading our bodies with toxins that destroy the fragile ecosystems of bacteria in the gut. The bottom line is this: when you have a toxic buildup of waste and bad bacteria in your gut, your digestive system becomes compromised, leading to dozens of serious health concerns. If you suffer from digestive issues, constipation, weight gain, gas, bloating, indigestion, skin issues, fatigue, or a slew of other health issues, your bad gut may be slowly and secretly killing you. At this very moment, you may have up to 20 pounds of poop trapped inside your digestive system, aiming to destroy your precious health. And that's why doctors now believe supporting intestinal health and restoring the integrity of the digestive system is one of the most important goals of medicine in the next 10 years, and for good reason. In fact, doctors from the Mayo Clinic, Harvard Medical School, Yale, and MIT all say death begins in the colon. If you're feeling sluggish, bloated around the waist, or even just plain backed up, and you're ready to flush out that extra 5 to 20 pounds of toxic poop, then give ZooPoo a try for 14 days. It will clean you out, guaranteed. Click through to read the hilarious reviews about how consistently effective ZooPoo truly is. It contains the perfect dosages of all natural ingredients that will get things moving and flush out that extra waste you're carrying around. You'll feel amazing when it's gone. Click through to learn more about ZooPoo now.
Join the conversation on this season of Glad You Asked. Watch now, only on YouTube.
Hey there, how's everyone? Ooh, my hair's looking all kinds crazy. How's everyone doing today? Hope everyone's doing pretty well. I, you may notice that I'm missing a bit of something. Don't worry, the beard will be back eventually. It just, need to do a bit of reshaping, so that entailed shaving my beard entirely. And, well, here we are. It should take about, like, 2, 3 weeks before I get, like, a semblance of a real beard back. But it'll be a better, newer beard. We're gonna build back better. But I figured I won't let that stop me out getting some content out for you guys, hanging out. I also got a new mic, so it sounds hopefully a bit more clear. We might have to fuck with some audio levels, although I did do some testing and we should be good. Uh, let's see. And today I kind of just have a chill back, relaxed stream set up here. Um, Nothing too high intensity, just some PragerU stuff and uh, God, I think there's some Steven Crowder stuff I'm gonna do, and maybe we'll touch some Jesse Lee Peterson if we got the time for it. And I also want to, because I didn't get a chance last time, I'm gonna be going over some of the text of HR 5, and specifically, I'm going to also be going over a lot of the anti-trans legislation that's been coming out and over the last 4 or 5 months. What's died, what's still active, and just kind of give a general picture of what's really going on here. Because honestly, like the silence from cis people on that's kind of been crazy to me. I mean, I'm cis, so I can't say too much for it because I haven't done too much pro trans content outside of reaction videos up until now. But I'm gonna go ahead and remedy that, and hopefully, I do hope to see more much larger. Although I'm a pretty large guy, hey, but much larger content viewer based content creators make some videos on it and hopefully start seeing some movement on there because there's some pretty disgusting legislation out there. I mean, I'm sure everyone's seen the stuff from Alabama, um, but there's 31 states right now that have anti-trans legislation that are outgoing or sitting in the house ready to go. So it's it's kind of dire, honestly. So I figure it's time for us to talk about that. But now that I've talked about how important that is, I'm gonna drink some water real quick. Another importance: stay very hydrated, kids. Hydration is key, especially if you're gonna be talking for hours. Let me set this down here so you don't get a clunk noise. Yeah, well, actually, but what we're gonna do, we're gonna start this one off on something fairly light. Um, some easy content for me to just get back into the swing of things. You know what I mean, man? And what's easier than dunking on PragerU? I mean, they legitimately make it the easiest they possibly could. So we're gonna go ahead and get that set up here. There it is. Let's see. Now, you may sit back and wonder to yourself, hell, it might even keep you up at night as you wonder, is communism moral? I mean, I know things about communism, even though I haven't read the Communist Manifesto or, looked into any history on communism. But I know it's a bad. But is it moral? Well, luckily for you, your friends at PragerU have got the video for you. They're gonna tell you if that dirty, dirty red commies, if they're moral. Now, I think there might be a little bit of a bias there, and I clearly have no biases. There is no bias to this source here. Completely unbiased, 100% fair and balanced reporting. I'm not a socialist at all. So let's see if we're going to crack this code right here, right now. Is communism moral? We're not going to crack that code because I didn't change the source yet. Damn it, Zach. Okay. Let's fix that. I don't know why it does this. For some reason, my screen capture, like when I want to do, like I usually just do like my entire screen, but recently it's been like, no, I'm just not going to display that, and it will only show up if I do window capture. I don't know why it even showed that. There we go. Okay. We're gonna crack this code now and see if communism is actually moral. I mean, the deep state didn't want me to watch this video. You see how quickly they're trying to take down the stream chat? They don't want you to see it. But I'm gonna show you. Let's find out if communism is moral from, once again, a completely unbiased source.
Motives are much less important than behavior. We all know this. If someone has good intentions but treats people badly, those good intentions mean nothing. As it is with individuals, so it is with governments. Capitalism might sound less noble than communism.
Wait, but he started that out by saying that morals are more like what you mean to do is more important than what you like actually do, which is, I mean, that's wrong. Like, I agree with the supposit, like what they're saying of like, you can't just say, hey, I'm trying to, because I mean, ethno-nationalists will do this all the time. They'll go and say, hey, I'm just trying to build a strong place for everyone to have their own identity in. But what they're actually doing is a genocide. So, yeah, I agree that, like, it takes a little bit more than just stating some morals. But that's not what he said at the start of this video.
The individual pursues success to the best of his abilities. That's capitalism. Versus everyone shares everything equally. That's communism.
That is a very optimistic view of things here. I mean, capitalism, in my opinion, is the individual pursues success to the best of his abilities at the cost of others' of others' means. So yeah, I mean, it is an individual trying to get as much success as possible just based on that individuality. But it's that's kind of like half of the picture there. While communism is not everyone sharing everything equally, but I mean it's the old term to the everyone to their needs, and then from everyone to the best of their. Oh, wow, what is that quote? Jesus, I'm an idiot. I just butchered that quote. Time to Google chat. I think it's from everyone according to their needs, to everyone according to their needs, from everyone according to their ability. According to their needs. Yeah, to each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. God damn, I'm stupid. But that is everyone pursuing success to the best of their abilities, instead of just one person being able to pursue success to the best of their abilities. Communism or socialism, I mean, I'm more of a socialist than a strict communist, but communism would give everyone the ability to pursue success to the best of their abilities together.
But it is capitalism that has produced freedom, and it alone has lifted millions from poverty, while communism has kept millions impoverished and, without exception, crushed freedom.
That I doubt they're going to give you any examples on without exception costs freedom, like, or crushes freedom, because the only thing that they have for examples is like the Communist Party of China, Stalin, and like North Korea, because they call themselves the People's Republic of North Korea. Like, that's really all they have there, though. And while it's true that like a capitalist system moving out of feudalism was a very, very good thing to happen. Like, that did take and pull people out of poverty. That doesn't mean that we're at the end game of systems and that it makes it more moral, because capitalism still requires people to be in poverty for the system to function.
Capitalism, for all its imperfections, enables a decent society. Communism, whatever its stated intentions, leads to evil. Yet increasingly, people either ignore or deny the evil of this ideology, which within a period of only 60 years created modern.
This entire thing is just going to be the Black Book of Communism, isn't it? Like, this entire video is just going to be them reiterating, like, random points from the Black Book of Communism. Okay, let's do it.
Totalitarianism, and deprived more people of human rights, and tortured and killed more people than any ideology in history. How can we explain this? There are two ways. One is ignorance. People just don't know the truth about communism. The second is willful blindness. People know the truth.
Hey, check out my group with the dope ass shades, though. Definitely willfully blind. Definitely not just, going, I wonder if when all those people that reported death statistics said, hey, those aren't the numbers I reported, and then they just got reported inflated anyway, we just went, maybe that's bullshit.
But choose to ignore it because the truth about communism's horrors is too painful to confront. Given the sad state of our educational system, we can assume most people fall into the first category. They just don't know.
That actually is true, and that's why so many people are afraid of, like, socialists and communists, by the way, because all they think of is Russia. That's literally all that most people, when they hear socialism or communism, they just think, like, Red Scare level shit, Russia. That is all. So that's another true here. Like, it is mostly ignorant people, but it's not like that's not why people are letting communism come back around. It's the other side that has actually like educated themselves a bit. Is one getting a bit is getting larger, and two, if as long as you're not online and on Twitter, because Twitter leftist spaces are a hellhole. Marxist thinkers and Marxist thinkers and educators and like political pundits and honestly a large groups of leftist speakers have gotten better at distilling a message down that would lead someone to socialist ideals and then letting them do the research afterwards if they want to, instead of what you get on like a lot of large lefty spaces online where it's kind of the polar opposite, and have you read this theory? No, then you are clearly the big idiots. You are the big dumbs who has no idea what they're talking about. See, I am the true Marxist. No, there's no true Marxist other than me, of course. And you know what? Fuck it. Maybe someone with a hammer and sickle on their name that says 14 ml in the bio.
So let me offer some facts. But before I do, I need to address another question. Why is it important that everyone know what communism did? Here are 3 reasons. First, we have a moral obligation to the victims of communism not to forget them. Just as Americans have a moral obligation to remember the victims of slavery, we have the same obligation.
Okay, well, yeah, we do have a moral obligation to remember victims of slavery, but also Native American genocides. How about everything we did with Asian internment camps? God, like everything else that was done to the black population. Hey, if we're just going to be talking about like economic systems, since we're talking about communism in this part, how about everything that capitalism has done starvation wise and war wise just with America? Like, we absolutely should be looking at all those things. And you know what? I will agree. The actual deaths under like socialist regimes and communist regimes that aren't overreported should be looked at, and we should look at how these certain types of things happen. You shouldn't, like, just because a country even reports, because a lot of these countries aren't even actually socialist, but with Russia we'll go full through with it. Like, you can't just because a country has your ideology behind you or behind it just hand wave away things that are being done. That's how you get things like Uyghur genocide deniers and stuff like that. So yeah, the like famines in Russia, I will absolutely say that was bad. That was a bad thing that happened. That were also a lot of times exports were being done on like food and grains when it didn't need to be. There were a lot of problems that happened there. So I will say that happened under that government for sure. That happened. I won't say that's a result of communism though. Like, that's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous to say that specifically a state regime exporting grains and food at a higher rate than it should and artificially increasing a famine is a direct result of their economic system. Like, that's fucking nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Especially if you look at like what communism systems are designed around. Like, you can absolutely say these regimes did these because they did. But don't just go, well, it's obviously the scary red book that I don't like that caused it.
Obligation to the billion victims of communism, especially the 100 million.
Did you just say billion?
As Americans have a moral obligation to remember the victims of slavery, we have the same obligation to the billion victims of communism.
That dude just said billion victims of communism. That's wild. Like, that's even bigger than the 100 million dead Vuvuzela meme. Like, legit, just billions of people murdered by communists.
especially the 100 million who were murdered.
Hold on, actually, what the fuck is the world's population right now? Because I want to see what percentage of the fucking world's population he just said the communists killed. World's population 2021. All right, so they said billions, so I'll go just 2 billion at the flat. At the flat, so because like that will be the bill. You know what? Fuck it. We'll go with 1.1 just to say that can be like him calling it billion, like going into it. Sure. Even if we call it 1.1 billion people, this motherfucker just said over a span of 60 years, communists killed a seventh of the world's population. My dude, what? I'm sorry, what? Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. How do people watch these PragerU videos, even with their, like, melted boomer brains, and think, oh, yes, this is clearly accurate information? There it is.
Second, the best way to prevent an evil from reoccurring is to confront it in all its horror. The fact that many people today, especially young people, mention communism as a viable option for modern society proves
Based.
they don't know communism's moral record. Therefore, they do not properly fear communism.
What Dennis Prager actually wants, and let's be clear, what the Koch brother that's still alive behind Dennis Prager actually wants is for you to fear communism the same level as it was back during the Red Scare and McCarthyism, where motherfuckers are legitimately seeing like the Communist Manifesto like spelled out in their like alphabet soup, and like they see a group of 3 or 4 kids getting together and selling lemonade, and they're like, "Those damn commie unions!" Like, that is absolutely what the remaining Koch brother and Dennis Prager want for the reaction to communism to be, and for people to even be willing to be socialists, or I'm gonna be real, I'm getting like leaning closer and closer to anarcho communism like every day. But for people to even be leaning that way is a huge threat to their industries, because even if you like aren't you don't have a communist society or a socialist society, the formation of unions isn't good for capitalists. Higher taxes isn't good for capitalists. Like, people realizing that there needs to be another formation of our economy, a new way to structure it, is not good for the current people making a shit ton of money in the economy. So obviously they want you to be terrified. Of course, that you aren't and even are willing to come over to our dark side now, it's been really, really bad for them.
Which means this evil could happen again. And why could it happen again? That brings us to reason number 3. The leaders of communist regimes and the vast number of people who help those leaders torture, enslave, and murder were nearly all normal people. Of course, some were psychopaths, but most were not, which means that any society, including free ones, can
That
devolve into communism or some analogous evil.
Oh, hold on. I think I just found
Including free ones
found myself a
can
new thumbnail
devolve
right
into
there.
communism
Can devolve into communism based.
or some analogous evil.
But also like it's weird that they're true for the wrong reason here. Like, they're trying to say that's scary. And I mean it's kind of scary in that that's the way that every um ideology works. Like, even fascism, like it has its big monsters at the head, but a lot of like your middle leadership and stuff will be normal people that have just been convinced that this is the way to go. and it will start doing monstrous things that are irredeemable. But the same can be said for, like, capitalism, from feudalism to capitalism. It could happen with communism, socialism. As much as I like anarchy, I see it less and less possible with anarchy, but you get what I'm saying here. The way that any political system works has to be that it's based on normal people being able to slot into it.
Now, some facts based on the authoritative Black Book of Communism, written by 6 French scholars and published in the United States by Harvard University Press. Here are the numbers of people murdered by communist regimes, not soldiers, ordinary civilians. Vietnam, 1 million. East.
Okay, so I called it that they are gonna go over the Black Book of Communism. For those of you who don't know, because they're not gonna give you the full look at this, the Black Book of Communism was written in like the 90s by, it wasn't just French, it was a lot of European historians and authors, by the way. But it was mostly French. um but it was written in the mid to late 90s and was supposed to be essentially a repudiation of communism in its entirety, taking like historical death counts, lists of atrocities and specific things that have been done, torture, stuff like that, like war crimes, all kinds of stuff like that. Essentially, what it was here's your book to argue with communists if you want to argue with communists. Sounds, well, I mean, sounds like shit if you're a communist and it was all true. But it also was not all true. It is a very, very deeply flawed book down to its fundamentals. They're let's see. Sorry, I just got distracted by a pop up for a second. About I think it was a third of the authors that were writing the Black Book of Communism publicly disassociated themselves with the main author and with the book itself because they were just misreporting the information that they would give them. I believe it was Vietnam, that 1 million dead in Vietnam statistic that was absolutely fabricated. Let me look up the guy's name. Let's see. Black Book of... I'm sure we can just go to the Wikipedia and find the guy's name. Let's see. Criticism. We'll just type in Vietnam. There we go, Margolin. He claimed that he has never mentioned 1 million deaths in Vietnam at all. Like, the fundamental formation of the Black Book of Communism was entirely so that the main author could hit the number of 100 million dead that he wanted to hit. That's where you get the whole 100 million dead Vuvuzela meme from. It's that he was desperate to hit the 1 million people dead number there. So it actually caused 1/3 of the authors here. I think Nicholas Worth is another one of the ones that jumped off to drop and disassociate from the book entirely. And they didn't go pro-communism afterwards or anything. These people were still anti-communists and anti-socialists, but they were also historians that refused to lie. I mean, God, I think Nicholas Worth was the guy who did the Russian chapter. And I mean, that was at the point that I remember the Russian chapter has dates on speeches incorrect to where it was impossible for them to even happen then because it's referencing countries that didn't exist yet. There's like the number of Bolsheviks is underestimated. Like I believe they said they had like 5,000 Bolsheviks during their formation. Um, like, and I think they even said like the provisional government was democratic. Like it was all nonsense. And I like the most biting criticism that there is of the Black Book of Communism, in my opinion at least, comes from like Noam Chomsky. And it's that if you use the same methodology that the Black Book of Communism used and the same date range that it used, you hit that 100 million dead number by 1979 instead of the like 1990, what, let's see, 1997. Like a full almost 20 years before they were able to hit that 100 million dead number that they had to make up numbers to get to. Capitalism had already starved out and killed way more. So like just fundamentally from like the top bottom, it's pretty trash. Now there's good information in there, don't get me wrong. There's like, if you want specifics, don't look for like a number of victims, but if you want like specifics on agricultural data, on like how much food was in certain areas, on certain famines and stuff like that, the Black Book of Communism actually has accurate data. But if that's really it that I'd look for in there.
Eastern Europe, 1 million. Ethiopia, 1.5 million. North Korea, 2 million. Cambodia, 2 million. The Soviet Union, 20 million. China, 65 million. And the numbers are conservative. And of course, these numbers do not describe the suffering endured by hundreds of millions of people who were not murdered. The systematic stripping people of their right to speak freely, to worship freely, to start a business, or even to travel without party permission. No non-communist judiciary or media, the poverty of nearly all communist countries, the imprisonment of vast numbers of people, and of course, the trauma suffered by the hundreds of millions of friends and relatives of the murdered and imprisoned. These numbers don't tell you about the frozen millions in the vast Soviet Siberian prison camp system known as the Gulag Archipelago, or the Vietnamese communists' routine practice.
So that's actually one more thing. If you're going to go and look at the Black Book of Communism, they directly compare communism to Nazism. And there is a big difference. Now, don't get me, I'm not saying gulags are good. I am not saying prison camps are good. But the difference between the gulags and Nazi death camps were when Allies freed people from Nazi death camps, they were met with thousands of, not hundreds of thousands, a couple thousand of survivors who were not doing great, who were barely alive. When the gulags were released, there was like 300,000 people that were released back through to their families. Still incredibly fucked up that they were in the gulag in the first place, and there was absolutely atrocities that happened inside the gulags as well. But you can't do a direct comparison between that and a Nazi death camp, because there just really isn't one.
Of burying peasants alive to terrorize other peasants into supporting the communists, or Mao Zedong's regular use of hideous tortures to punish opponents and intimidate peasants. People associate evil with darkness, but that's not accurate. It is easy to look into the dark. It is very hard to stare into bright light. One should therefore associate evil with extreme brightness, given that people rarely look at real evil.
One should don't look at capitalism, guys, because it looks evil and that means it's good. What you should be doing is looking at communism, but don't look too closely. Just look at it and be like, ah, you're a scary one. I don't like that brightness. Good things that scare me. I like the bad I have.
And those who do not confront real evil often make up evils. like systemic racism in 21st century America, or toxic
Jesus.
masculinity, or patriarchy, that are
Okay. Okay. That's really funny actually. Isn't Dennis Prager the dude who like who was harassed his wife on stage before? Like patriarchy and toxic masculinity absolutely exist. Hold on. We Google champion today. Dennis Prager wife on stage. Was it him or was it this might be I might be misremembering him for one of those like mega preachers actually. If I am, I will apologize. Da-da-da. Oh, hold on. I think it's like a consent talk that he was giving or something. Is Prager wife consent? Yeah, it was. When a woman isn't in the mood. Absolutely. Oh, this is a majority report link. Jesus, okay. Do they have the clip in here though?
in Huffington Post.
This isn't the one that has his wife on stage. But like you can see his wife getting like visibly uncomfortable while he's talking about it. And it's legit he's talking about how women have a obligation to have sex with their husband even if they aren't in the mood to have it. Just legit like no, it should be okay for me to rape you. Like we married, it can't be rape. Like nuts, absolutely nuts. So yeah, I think Dennis Prager is a pretty clear like example of patriarchy and toxic masculinity just straight throughout. And I mean systemic racism. If if you're not sitting there and going, there needs to be a law in place today for it to be racist, or for there to be a systemic racism, then yeah, there's absolutely systemic racism in this country. All you need to do is look at like arrest rates, conviction rates, the length that people are convicted for the same crimes, like recidivity rates, rates for like home loan, interest rates and stuff like that, home ownership rates, like income disparity levels. There's all kinds of things that you can look at that you'd have to be blind to not be able to tell that systemic racism is happening.
Are much easier to confront. The book of Psalms states, those of you who love God must hate evil. If you don't believe in God, here's another way of putting it. Those of you who love people must hate evil. If you don't hate communism, you don't care about, much less love, people. I'm Dennis Prager.
I'm Dennis Prager, and please, dear God, do not look in to who is giving us money to make these videos. Now, if you want to make a tax-deductible donation, then please go right ahead so we can keep these videos free. But if not, it doesn't matter. That Koch brother's gonna pay me pretty well for all the bullshit I just spewed to you. I mean, I called it like straight out though. It was gonna be absolutely nothing about besides talking about Russia, China, and the Black Book of Communism, 100% all the way through, because that's pretty much the only play that they have at this point. Now, don't, like I said before, don't go and just unabashedly support every country that has communist in the name, or has socialist in the name, or People's Republic of blank. Don't just go blanket support them because it's there, but go and look at what they're actually doing, and look at what tenets of like communism, socialism, hell, really any political belief. If you want to critique a political belief, you need to actually understand it. Like, I refused to even talk about socialist versus capitalist structures until I had learned a little bit about capitalist structures, economics, and had like at least read a bit of fucking Adam Smith. Like yeah, it got some basis level on it. So, but if you're gonna take anything away from this video, please just take away that if you want to know something more about any political structure, one, don't use one source. Two, don't make your source a YouTube video. And three, please, dear God, use a source though. Like, actually do something to learn it. Because, like, I can't count the number of people who will just bark the same type of nonsense arguments that were in this same video and think that they're owning the socialists on Twitter or whatever. And it's just a cyclical nonsense bullshit argument. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow and I appreciate it a ton. And with that out of the way, I hope you all have a fantastic day. Oh, PragerU videos are always so wild to me, dude. They're always just so easy to debunk. It feels like I'm fighting with, like, I went out there with brass knuckles, and there's like an 8-year-old out there with obviously kid gloves on because they're children, and I'm just swinging down. But also, there's like a million of the children, so I inevitably lost the fight because no shit, this video has like 1.5 million views. So like that 1.5 million views versus the 100 I'm gonna get on this video, they winning. But at least I knocked out an 8-year-old. Oh, let's see. All right. Oh, you're all good. My cat. I used to have a cat that did that all the time. Tell you what, since you got your audio back, what do you want? I got a salty cracker video up, or we can check out Tucker Carlson. Which way you want to go on that? I got Tucker Carlson as 100%, or sorry, Steven Crowder saying that Tucker Carlson is 100% correct on masks, and Salty Cracker saying that dude who hit a cop with a stick is very real and scary. All right, Tucker Carlson, let's go. Actually, you know what? I wonder if there's new Tucker content now. I want to see if this dude said anything nuts. Bear with me. Because I swear, like, that dude goes 8-9 hours before saying something nutty again. Oh, yeah, he had Rudy Giuliani on. I'll check that out.
Brush your teeth in less than 10 seconds with this revolutionary toothbrush?
Now,
I need to, for some reason, my ad blocker stopped. I need to get that fixed. I wonder, let's see. It may seem like a distant memory to everyone at this point, but only a 3 months ago at this, wow, wait, whoa. 3 months ago, 4 months ago, shit. Let me restart that recording. I'm super wrong. Jesus. Apparently time flew by. It may seem like a distant memory at this point, but it was only about 4 months ago that Trump's campaign lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, was standing on a stage yelling about trial by combat before people stormed the US Capitol and decided that they were going to beat some cops to death with a flag and a fire extinguisher You know, just some good old boy times. And turns out that wasn't a great call for anyone involved, really. I mean, everyone who went inside the Capitol's getting got. We've been seeing non-stop reports of just more and more arrests being made, like, as a result of that. And now, Rudy Giuliani's house has been raided by the FBI. It seems like trial by combat typically goes better for the people with the bigger guns. But who knows? Maybe Tucker Carlson can illuminate for us exactly how they're going to be winning this trial by combat.
Now, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani just learned that lesson the hard way yesterday when federal agents raided his home and took his files. By our count, Rudy Giuliani is at least the third attorney to have his personal communications with former President Donald Trump seized by the Justice Department. Sense a theme here? Rudy Giuliani joins us to tell us.
Yeah, I absolutely sense a theme here. The people who are in Trump's, orbit are absolutely criminals. All of them. Just all of them. That's the theme.
What happened? Mr. Mayor, thanks so much for coming on. Now, if you'd been reading the Twitter feed of the Lincoln Project, the Democratic hacks who...
Except the person who had that, non-sweat resistant hair dye for Rudy Giuliani, that person's a national treasure. But the rest of them, criminals.
Got Joe Biden elected, you would have known that federal agents were about to raid your home. They knew before you did. But apparently you weren't. Tell us what happened yesterday.
Well, about 6 o'clock in the morning, there was a big bang, bang, bang on the door. And outside were seven FBI agents with a warrant for electronics. And I looked at the warrant and I said, this is extraordinary because I've offered to give these to the government and talk it over with them for 2 years. I don't know why they have to do this. The agents seemed somewhat apologetic, I might say. They were very, very professional and very gentlemanly. The only time they got perturbed is at the end of the search when they had taken about, I'd say, 7 or 8 electronic items of mine, which is what they took, and 2 of someone else's. They weren't taking the 3 hard drives, which, of course, are electronic devices. They just mimic the computer. I said, well, don't you want these? And they said, what are they? I said, those are Hunter Biden's hard drives. And they said, no. I said, are you sure you don't want them? I mean, the warrant required them to take it. And they said, no. And
I'm sure that absolutely happened. That's definitely why they don't have them. Because for some reason, you would not want to if you wanted to cover something up, you would not want the hard drives with the information on it. You would want them to stay with the person that's your adversary. That's see, I'm out here playing just some normal chess. Tucker's playing 3D chess. Rudy said, fuck that 4D. He invented a 5th and 6th dimension to play chess in, bro.
One last time I said, don't you think you should take it to... And they said, no. Now, Hunter Biden's hard drives fall within the scope of the subpoena. The subpoena required them to take all electronics, but they decided to leave that behind. And they also were completely content to rely on my word that these were Hunter Biden's hard drives. I mean, they could have been Donald Trump's. They could have been Vladimir Putin's. They could have been anybody's. But they relied on me.
It's almost like the story didn't happen. It's almost like when they raided your apartment, they took all your shit.
The man who had to be raided in the morning because I'm going to destroy the evidence. I've known about this for 2 years, Tucker. I could have destroyed the evidence a year. I didn't destroy the evidence because the evidence is exculpatory. It proves that the president and I and all of us are innocent. They're the ones who are committing. It's like projection. They're committing the crimes. Yeah.
Well, may I just interject to say it's...
Hold on. What would even... Those Hunter Biden, fucking laptop leak shit. Even all of the fucking fake conspiracies that came out of that, none of them would even apply to anything that have to, do with elections or, a grand conspiracy or anything. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the Hunter Biden laptop stuff just, that he fucks and that he does drugs. And I think that they said something about like, I don't know, like a child ring or something, like a child sex ring or something like that. Like all obvious, well, not all. The last one obviously damning for specifically Hunter Biden, if that's a thing. But what the fuck would that have to do with anything else?
I think literally projection. So from what we have read in the press, the Department of Justice wants to know whether you violated FARA, the Foreign Agents Registration Act, in representing foreign nationals, Ukrainians, for pay. You didn't register. They're saying that may have been a crime. We know for a fact that Hunter Biden did that. He didn't register under FARA. He represented Ukrainians. He probably made a lot more than you did. He also represented Chinese nationals, lobbying his dad. And he has not been charged with a FARA violation. Am I missing something here?
God damn, I need to work on I need to get a fucking ad blocker working again.
Yeah, you're missing, equal administration of justice, which is what we don't have anymore. The reality is the hard drive contains somewhere between a dozen or more violations of FARA that are spelled out completely, failure to register. The fact is it also spells out, as we now know, a clear violation of the Gun Act. The application is a straight-out fraud. He says, I'm not an addict. We have a picture of him 5 days before smoking a crack pipe behind the wheel of a car and then saying under oath that he's not an addict. And it's the left that gets all perturbed about people who are mentally unstable having guns. Well, he was unstable. He's been, unfortunately and tragically. I feel sorry for that part of Hunter Biden. I think his father.
This still has, like, nothing to do with any administration. It's still just about Hunter Biden. But, I mean, God. I forgot what they were talking about for a second. Because they started going back into, like, the drug stuff and shit like that. So, let's go back to, hold on, did you say FARA? I'm pretty sure you said the FARA Act. I'm just going to pull that up and let's take a look over it. Because I remember some stuff about it. I remember reading about the FARA Act in history class because it got passed in, like, the 40s. But I can't remember the specifics of it, so let's pull that up and check it out. Okay, the act requires periodic disclosure of all activities and finances by people and organizations that are under the control of a foreign government or of organizations or persons outside the United States, foreign principal, if they act at the order, request, or under the direction of control of this principal or of persons who are controlled or subsidized in major part of this principal. Organizations under such foreign control can include political agents, public relations counsel, publicity agents, information and service employees, political consultants, fundraisers, or those who represent the foreign power before any agency or official of the United States of government. The law does not include news or press services. It also provides explicit exemptions for organizations engaged in religious, scholastic, academics, or scientific pursuits, or of the fine arts, whether or not they're linked to a federal organization, as well as for those not serving predominantly a foreign interest. Examples of organizations lobbying, okay, yeah, that's fine. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, and I might be, because, I mean, I'm not like a I'm not a scholar or anything. But to me, that sounds like you would need to be working under, like, directly for someone in the government, and then not disclose, like, those financial records during that. Was Hunter Biden, like, when he worked, because I know Hunter Biden actually did work in Russia for a bit. When Hunter Biden worked in Russia, was he, like, consulting for Joe Biden or something? If I remember right, he was, like, doing something with, like, an energy company. Anyway, we'll go on. But I honestly don't think that really applies to it. But who knows? If he was, I mean, if Hunter Biden was consulting for Joe Biden, then sure. I mean, whatever. You could pop both of them. Who gives a shit? Fuck Rudy Giuliani and Hunter Biden. Then who cares?
Exploited him. But the reality is he's still a danger to the public if he's driving an automobile or holding a gun. But they don't care about that.
No,
they come and send it to my apartment when I'm willing to talk to them civilly myself. And second, I can tell you, I never, ever represented a foreign national. In fact, I have in my contracts a refusal to do it because from the time I got out of being mayor, I didn't want to lobby. Never did it to Bush, never did it to Obama, never did it with Trump. And I can prove it. Just give me an opportunity. But they won't. Instead, they had a breakdown. I would say breakdown, but smash on my...
Hold on. The opportunity's coming. Like, you're going to court. That's what... That's why they were there to seize your shit. You're getting the opportunity, buddy. If you did... Like, if Rudy Giuliani didn't commit these crimes, one, he probably wouldn't be deflecting to go, oh, Hunter Biden. But also, this would be the point where you'd get to prove that you didn't do it. And especially as, like, a well-off white lawyer, like, it's not like you're a black dude getting brought in for drug crimes. Like, if you didn't do this, you have a pretty great chance of not getting popped on it.
Doors in a frightening way. Lucky I don't get frightened very easily. I handle them very professionally, and they handle me very professionally. I want to make that point. Also, Hunter, I am a lawyer who has prosecuted a lot more serious cases that have been prosecuted in the U.S. Attorney's Office since I left. And the reality is that that warrant is completely illegal. The only way you can get a search warrant is if you can show that there's some evidence that the person is going to destroy the evidence or is going to run away with the evidence. Well, I've had it for 2 years and I haven't destroyed it. And they also got it from the iCloud. So there was no justification for that warrant. It is an illegal, unconstitutional warrant, one of many that this Department of Injustice, tragic.
I'm calling bullshit on that too. Let's look up what you need for. We're doing a lot of Googling today. This is going to be an educational stream. Let's see what you need for a federal search warrant. Because if I remember right, it is not that stringent. Okay, search and seizure. Let's see, definitions. The following definitions apply under this. Actually, I'll pop this into this window so you can see. So yeah, include, definitions on what daytime means, what property means, like what a law enforcement officer is, what domestic terrorism and tracking devices are. Evidence of a crime. Let's see. Is there anything from maybe issued before? No? Okay. Persons or property subject to search or seizure. A warrant may be issued for any of the following. Evidence of the crime, contraband. No, okay. Obtaining a warrant. Maybe that's where it will be. After receiving an affidavit or other information, a magistrate judge or authorized by Rule 41B, a judge state of court of record must issue the warrant on probable cause. If there's probable cause to search for and seize a person or property, or to install a tracking device. That's why I thought it just needed probable cause. Like, let's see. Let me make sure that there's nothing like under this issuing a request that might like block that off. When a federal law enforcement officer or attorney for the government presents an affidavit in support of a warrant, the judge may require the affiant to appear personally and may examine under oath the affiant and any witness to that the affiant produces. Warrants on sworn recording testimonies. No, like this is all. There's no modification to that so far. Identify any person or property to be seized. It has to be executed within 14 days. Has to be done during the daytime. Unless the judge for good cause says that they can do it at a different time. Alright, so pretty much you can do it whenever you want. I was going to say, what? But yeah, you can do whatever you want. Return the warrant back to them. Okay. Oh, here's one for electronically stored information, so maybe that's specific. Okay. A warrant under Rule 41E2A may authorize the seizure of electronic storage media. We'll pull up that rule. Electronic storage media, or the seizure or copying of information, unless otherwise specified. The warrant authorizes a later review of the media. The time executing the warrant refers to the seizure on site copying the media, and not to any later off-site copying or review. Okay, so let's go into the specific rule for it, because there might be something different there. Oh, is that just a... Am I stupid? Is that just a hyperlink that takes you slightly down the page? Oh, I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb. Okay. Yeah, E2... wow. Wow. Well, so yeah. My point stands, though, in that it was not an illegal warrant at all. They absolutely just had to have probable cause. They got it, and they went in. Like...
has done, and it breaks my heart because I belong to the Justice Department, and I think I had a record that's a hell of a lot better than theirs.
Joe Biden said he didn't know, the Lincoln Project knew, the guys who covered up child molestation, but Joe Biden says he didn't know that this raid was coming. Do you take that at face value?
Maybe he doesn't remember. I'm not sure if he can retain anything for more than about, the time it takes to read it. But in any event, who cares if he knew or not? And the reality is how the Lincoln Project knowing means that they have a serious leak in a very important investigation. We have been warning them of that for 2 years. My lawyer, Bob Costello, has written to them 4 times to plug up the leaks. They've done nothing to do that.
So just to frame this, I interrupt you. I should have done this at the outset. I just want to make absolutely certain that we understand, our viewers understand, what it is the Justice Department says they're investigating. We've read it's a FARA violation. Is there something else? What have they said to you about what they're looking into?
I've never felt so close to the possibility of disclosure.
So definitely.
Jesus. Okay.
They haven't said anything. They won't explain to me what they're looking into for 2 years. We've called them 5, 6 occasions, said, tell us what you're investigating. We'll come in and address it. No, just come in and talk to us. Tell us about your whole life. Of course, that's ridiculous. And so I have to go as a lawyer on the search warrant. The search warrant is purportedly based on one single failure to file for representing a Ukrainian national or official that I never represented. I've never represented a Ukrainian national or official before the United States government. I've declined it several times. I've had contracts in countries like Ukraine. In the contract is a clause that says I will not engage in lobbying or foreign representation.
If that's true, like,
I don't do it.
There's nothing to be worried
I felt
about.
It would be too compromised.
And there's also no reason to be going out and doing this whole media tour, bro. Like, if that's true, you'll be exonerated on that full through.
Here I am in the middle of representing the President of the United States on a charge that I believe he was innocent of. I had great passion about that. If you're a lawyer and you're representing an innocent man, there's no greater burden you can have. And my sole concentration, and I am so offended by the things they've said about me, my sole concentration from the beginning here, Tucker, was to find evidence that would prove what I knew, that he was innocent of Russian collusion and that he was innocent of doing anything improper. He did exactly what a president should do with the president of Ukraine. He asked him to investigate a vice president who violated our laws over and over again. 30 years of the Biden crime family violating our laws. That is what is on the hard drive.
We won't talk about, like, the other things that he said he wouldn't do if that didn't happen, or any of the other stuff that was asked for. But he did ask for that investigation to be done in the proper channels.
That they have censored. And that's why they want to put me in jail.
What's nuts, too, is, like, people who watch Tucker Carlson and Fox News will then go and be like, yeah, what about that Mueller investigation? And you have to sit there and be like, well, you do realize that there was multiple, like, convictions, right? It was just specifically Donald Trump didn't get a conviction out of it. And they didn't know if they could convict a sitting president. Like, it was absolutely not an exoneration of any of that. But the way that Fox News and Tucker Carlson spun the entire thing, like, they would use it to bolster an argument for this, and that kind of thing drives me insane.
is the Democratic Party is hysterical on the subject of Russia, in part because they've taken so much money from Ukraine, which of course fears Russia and has for an awful long time. They're being paid to hate Russia. But let me just ask you, so now they've taken your phone, they've got all your texts, they've got all your digital communications. So unless you've been in mass 12 hours a day for the last 5 years, like, is there anybody who could, no, it's a sincere question. Is there anybody who, if the Justice Department was out for you and they've got every text you've ever sent and every email, that they couldn't find something to charge you with? Do you think this is going to remain a FARA investigation, or could it get much bigger quickly?
Well, I think it should get much bigger. I think they should be investigated for blatantly violating my Constitution.
Hey, you didn't have anything violated, bud. But also, he's right that it is going to get much bigger. There's no way that Rudy Giuliani wasn't into some dirt. Let's be honest, they probably are getting him on the FARA investigation too, but they probably wanted a lot more like information that they couldn't quite execute a warrant on. So I'm willing to bet we're going to see some very interesting stuff coming out in the coming year or two.
Constitutional rights, the president's constitutional rights, in the middle of the impeachment defense. They invaded, without telling me, my iCloud. They took documents that are privileged, and then they unilaterally decided what they could read and not read. So the prosecutors, the Justice Department, spied on me. And that is, if that is not taken seriously, if that doesn't result in their being sanctioned, the case being dismissed.
Wait, that's illegal in the U.S. because of your party. It's getting real self-aware wolves energy going here.
And it's stopping. This is no longer a free. We might as well be in East Berlin before the wall fell. This is tactics only known in a dictatorship, where you seize a lawyer's records right in the middle of his representation of his client. You should be prosecuted and disbarred for that. You shouldn't be prosecuting somebody else.
I agree with that. I agree with that uncritically.
They're a disgrace to a great department. They're a disgrace to a great department that I served honorably and well.
It's shocking. I hope you'll come back. I have a feeling we're going to be hearing a lot about this story. Former Mayor Rudy Giuliani, thank you.
I will. Trust me, Tucker. You have criminals on your stream all the time, and I am a huge criminal. All the crimes, big crimes, all day. Huge crimes. God. There's not much to say with the whole Rudy Giuliani thing. We'll have to see what comes out in investigations, but it's really funny to me just how hard this entire thing is backfiring on Rudy Giuliani. He should have just taken that fame that he got from being the 9/11 mayor and just wrote it and retired. Did nothing afterwards. He's probably, I think he's going to end up in jail. By the end of this. He could have just rode that out and had maybe came out now and been like, hey, Andrew Cuomo sucks, right? Remember when I was mayor? I was terrible and bad things happened. But you liked me, kind of, remember? Oh boy. Well, hey, if you liked the video and you want to see more content, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow a ton, and I really do appreciate it. With that said, I hope you all have a swimming day. See what else we got here. What's that? Ooh, yeah, I'll do the Steven Crowder, and then maybe the last video I do will be Salty Cracker, because I'm still going to go over the Equality Act and some anti-trans legislation. But I kind of want to check out this Jesse Lee Peterson thing. Legit, this video's title is Most Men Fighting for Custody Are Making the Children More Important Than God. The thumbnail for this is, I kid you not, look at this. It says, abandon your kids. I honestly don't know if I'm getting clickbaited here. It kind of feels like I am, but also Jesse Lee Peterson is wild enough that I bet he'd said something like this, though. Let's see what the comments look like. She planned to abort the child? For I have come to say... Okay, that's some long quote. Sometimes I think it's better not having children at all. As a wise man once said, you gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold. 9-minute build up to what we knew was coming out of Jessica's mouth. The court system. What the hell? This even talking about? And he doesn't even have any clips up, so I can't like tell. I'll tell you what, we're gonna dive in here and just like jump around and see what what he's talking about and make the decision, because it's like a half-hour video. So if it's boring, I don't want to commit.
How you doing, Jesse?
All is well, thank you.
Oh God, it's a caller. Oh no.
This is a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Well, I have a small situation. It turned out to be a big situation. Hello?
Go ahead.
As I mentioned, I'm from New York. I live in Florida now. I met a beautiful young lady. We started dating. We broke up. We dated for like 5 months. We broke up. Then we didn't see each other for like 2 months. She knocked on my door the day of my birthday, telling me that she was pregnant, that she wanted some abortion money. I convinced her to have, our daughter. I took care of her for 9 months. Everything happened in those 9 months. I came to find out on my own that she was seeing other people while she was pregnant. To make the long story short, man, the baby came. She completely dismissed me. She said she was gonna do her own thing. So all I had was to respect her opinion and try to be there for our daughter. It got really hectic. I had to take her to court to see my daughter. 4 years gone by. I've done mental evaluation. We did co-parenting classes 4 times. I've done community college classes, child development, all kinds of things. After doing a mental evaluation, all I got in from that was 5 minutes on the phone FaceTime with my daughter 3 times a week. In those FaceTimes, she completely started violating our time. She would not allow us to have a deep
this is... I don't know. How does Jesse... Because, I mean, I could go off and talk about this for sure. Because this is a direct result of the courts of actually... From what PragerU was saying didn't exist, a direct result from the courts like being set up through patriarchy and with a mindset of toxic masculinity. Women are seen as the better caretakers. It's incredibly hard for men to get through in a lot of cases, like why can't I think of the word? Child custody, Jesus. It's like way harder for men to get a positive outcome in child custody cases. Now, there's a distinct also possibility that the person calling in to Jesse Lee Peterson probably leaving out some information, probably not painting the full picture on the scope of what he's done and said, or like if he has an arrest record or something like that, a history of violence, drug use, all that kind of stuff really does play into custody agreements and things like that. But like, even if you're taking the guy calling in at face value, which if you're running a show, you don't have to do 100%, but you have to do a bit. Then you kind of start to understand, like, okay, yeah, like, or sorry, not understand. You do have to give him the benefit of a doubt a bit and say, hey, what's the problem here and what's going to be the solution I talk about? With me, it'd be talking about, like, fixing views on men, that men are more, like, typically more violent, worse caretakers, don't care as much for children, that kind of thing. Like, a lot of things that men rights activists claim to do. But for some reason, Jesse Lee Peterson said something about making the child more important than God. Like, hold on, let's skip ahead and see what he's talking about.
He completely said the opposite of what she said, which you could could tell that people are around her because she's following people with her eyes. Then the other day she flashed me, then she threw like the 666 sign at me.
Who did? Your daughter did all that?
My daughter did all that, but it's because her older daughter is living in the house now. So me and her older daughter didn't get along at all. She didn't embrace me.
Before you went to the court, I would have advised you not to spend one dime in the courts. You gave all your money to the courts, all your money to the lawyers, and now you're giving your money to her. You need to let this go, learn from it, so you don't do it this way again. You're getting what you deserve, because that woman is going to destroy your daughter no matter what. Even if you visit your daughter every day, she's still going to destroy your daughter. And the court.
Dude, Jesse Lee Peterson is legitimately just being like, no, you shouldn't take care of your children. You shouldn't have even gone to the courts. Be a deadbeat dad. Like, whoa. This dude has so many issues that he needs to work through. Like, absolutely. He's still working through his dad and his mom abandoning him. Wow. That's crazy. I'm gonna put this in a back pocket, save it to a playlist or something. Because, like, that's really gross, actually. Like, holy shit. Like, imagine telling someone who called into your show, who undoubtedly, if they're calling you, probably subscribes to the JLP talk, whatever, like, probably does donate and super chat, probably does all this kind of stuff. And then you're gonna tell this dude, yeah, dummy, your mistake was caring about your daughter in the first place. Who you should be caring about and putting that money towards is God. Like, what kind of fucking sociopath says that to somebody? Holy shit. Like, it got past the point of where it's funny with Jesse Lee Peterson, and it's honestly really sad. Like, because you can tell that the stuff he says, he's not grifting. He believes this shit that he says. And, like, it comes from a place of, at least in my opinion, I mean, I'm not a psychologist at all. And even if I was, I'm not his psychologist, so I wouldn't fucking know. But, like, to me, it seems like it comes from a real place of hurt. It always kind of revolves around, like, women not caring and not wanting to take care of you. So you need to focus on God. You need to focus on yourself. And, like, wow. Yee. Just yee. The dude needs a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and he absolutely will never get one, because that's part of the whole, like, Christian macho thing. I talked about that in my Trump prophecy video. Like, it's still, unfortunately, especially with these older generations, seen as incredibly unmanly, unmasculine to go and deal with mental health issues at all, or to even admit that you have them. So, like, when you get into Christian fundamentalism with that too, oh boy, there's no chance that he is ever going to go and seek help that's outside of his church. And that's really unfortunate, honestly. Man. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Maybe I'll stream that, like, next weekend or something. Start the stream out with that. Oh, shit. Here's another man baby that really, really has some problems that he needs to deal with. But not exactly the same, because Jesse Lee Peterson's father abandoned him. Steven Crowder's dad just runs his career. Oh boy, how am I even going to intro this? Let's talk about the Tucker Carlson bit. If you've been on lefty political spheres, or honestly, just hit anything left of center online, I'm sure you've already seen that Tucker Carlson has said to call the police on people when they see their children outside with masks on. and to call Child Protective Services because it's akin to beating a child or a teacher punching them. And yeah, that's an incredibly stupid take. I'm not going to shock you here with anything and say, well, actually, that's a good take, and here's what. No. Incredibly dumb. Now, what's going to also not be shocking to you is one of the dumbest, well, no, one of the people with the most low IQ content style on the platform, because he's not dumb, he's just a grifter. Steven Crowder is going to go ahead and tell you why that was actually 100% right, and that Tucker Carlson is right about all of this.
Speaking of confidence,
I ain't turn that up. Oop.
Speaking of confidence, the cock of the walk, baby. Tucker Carlson is trending right now, this very second, because he had some commentary on masks, more specifically on forcing children to wear masks, and people are now saying that he's a national health hazard. Here you go.
As for
I mean, Tucker Carlson is a national health hazard, but not for this reason. So here's the thing. The CDC isn't even telling you to wear masks outside after you've been vaccinated. They're telling you to wear them indoors. And that's what is really being talked about the entire time. But what conservatives love to do is to pretend that they're like, that's a bunch of people forcing people to wear, like, especially children, because it's the whole think of the children thing. But they're pretending that people are being forced to wear masks outside while it's not effective, and the CDC said it's not effective. No one's saying that, and no one's doing that. In fact, really, the only reason to wear a mask outside while you're by yourself and not like in a large group at this point while you're vaccinated is so people don't think that you're a fucking Tucker Carlson fan.
Forcing children to wear masks outside, that should be illegal. Your response when you see children wearing masks as they play should be no different from your response to seeing someone beat a kid in Walmart. Call the police immediately. Contact Child Protective Services. Keep calling until someone arrives. What you're looking at is abuse.
Also, love that, like, Steven Crowder's, like, people he has on are just like, yeah, what if the kid deserves it, though? We like beating kids. I know it's a joke, guys. Don't at me. But just, like, it seems like a weird and insensitive joke to make when you're trying to make the point that Tucker Carlson was right.
It's child abuse, and you are morally obligated to attempt to prevent it. If it's your own children being abused, then act accordingly. Let's say your kid's school emailed you to announce that every day after lunch, your sixth grader was going to get punched in the face by a teacher.
That happens.
How would you respond to that? That's precisely how you should respond when they tell you that your kids have to wear masks on the soccer field. That is unacceptable, it is dangerous, and we should act like it.
You know what, let's look it up, because that's been bothering me. I don't think that there's anyone who said you had to wear masks on the soccer field. Children masks soccer field. Because everything I've seen has been like indoor sports. And to the point where they even let wrestlers not wear a mask while they are rubbing their bodies on each other. Like, let's see. Did I spell soccer? Oh, I put a C in front for some reason. Comfortable windproof school. Should kids wear masks? Okay. We're getting a little bit somewhere. This is something called the Aspen Project. No, that's not like government or anything. New York Times, maybe? Is this really going to be just fucking Tucker Carlson making something up? God damn it. Let's see. I'll put school mandate at the end. Should young, okay. We got healthychildren.org. Let's see. Our spring sorts. I'm just gonna look up soccer. I messed that up real hard. Okay. Soccer. Playing volleyball and soccer outdoors masked is a relatively low risk. Blah, blah, blah. Indoor basketball, but people are masked. There's no crowding. Oh, damn it. I accidentally hit on that. 6. Playing volleyball and soccer outdoors, masks are relatively low risk. I already read that. PE kids, soccer coaches. Okay, so it looks like there are a couple of teachers that are having people wear masks out in the field. So there's no mandate or anything here, though. I mean, I will say I don't think you need to go call the cops like they punched your kid, because that's hyperbole, obviously pretty ridiculous. But if there's really no point to wearing masks while outdoors after vaccination if you're using disinfectants and stuff like that. And it's a bit of a silly school, if it, school by school rule. And I wouldn't have a problem with, say, someone going, hey, then maybe I'll talk to the school's principal and see what's up with that. Have a conversation about it. But the whole equivocating it to somebody punching your kid when they come in from recess every day is absolutely insane. Because it's like we just read, that it's a low risk thing to do anyway. You're more at risk playing a sport just because you're playing a sport than the mask being added on.
Because it is. It's our job to brush them back and restore the society we were born in. So the next time you see someone in a mask on the sidewalk or on the bike path, do not hesitate. Ask politely but firmly, would you please take off your mask?
Now, look, I've had criticisms for Tucker Carlson before, namely that, he had the bow tie and then he got rid of it and then he acts like it never happened. It's like, we remember the bow tie.
Didn't forget.
But he's absolutely right here. I don't understand how this is an outrage. Again, keep in mind that Tucker Carlson there said,
he said to call the police on people who are outdoors with their children and they have masks. In a time when cops showing up for simple traffic stops are getting people shot, he said to call the police when you see a child with a mask. Effectively, what you're doing is just setting up more interactions for an absolute tragedy to happen at. Besides it just being a waste of resources and being an absolute ridiculous thing to do in the first place, because it's not child abuse, the kid's not being hurt. Jesus. I just don't see why he's being canceled, guys. All he did was say that we should bring in the gang that murders people in broad daylight on camera all the time anytime we see a kid with a mask on.
please tell them peacefully, be respectful, that they should remove. Now, he's just imploring you to do what the left does.
Yeah.
Only to do it more politely. This is not like Maxine Waters saying,
the incredibly leftist policy of calling the police on children.
Find them at the diners and mess up their day! Whatever it is that she said.
Department store.
She called people to violence repeatedly.
She did,
He's
yeah.
saying peacefully ask people if they are outside wearing a mask that it offends you, that they should remove it, because it's stupid.
Yeah, it's beyond stupid.
It is beyond stupid. I will say this, though. It's really valuable.
God, those conservative twin dudes are here. Every time, they're literally there all the time because they get to say, essentially Tucker Carlson, or wow, I just mixed up Steven Crowder with Tucker Carlson. Steven Crowder likes to have a black person there to say racist things so that he doesn't get in trouble for saying them.
I've talked about how sort of, when people talk about wars today, where it's not necessarily nation versus nation, at least back in the day, you look at like the Pacific Theater, right? It's like you knew Americans because there was like a 1 foot height difference, but you had team jerseys. The masks now act as team jerseys. If I see someone out in public, out in a park, or alone in their car with a mask, I know they're not my friend. Probably don't.
Yeah, very legitimately. I'm gonna be real. If I see someone walking around a store without a mask on, I know that they're a piece of shit. Absolutely. I absolutely know that I don't want to ever interact with you ever if I see you out in public without a mask on now. Because you're just showing that you're so self-absorbed that you're unwilling to even slightly inconvenience your life for a small period of time. And I'm not even talking just small period of time in that, like, the pandemic wouldn't have to have lasted over a full year. Let's even get smaller than that. From your fucking car into the store, back out. Maybe an hour and a half if you're doing a big grocery shopping trip. Maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours tops that you have to wear a mask. And you literally won't do it because you're so self-obsessed that you're not gonna let them liberals take your right to not wear a mask. It's ridiculous. So yeah, it is a team jersey, and I know that your team fucking sucks.
Anything in common. I think the problem with what he said, though, was calling Child Protective Services. I know he's trying to make a point.
Yeah.
I don't think he actually expects you to call Child Protective Services, but seeing a kid getting beat by their parents and having a mask on, it's a little different. So I think he left himself open.
I don't know what this guy's name is, but he is always here. I mean, he says really fucked up stuff too. Like, don't get me wrong, but he is always here to be like, well, you know, here's what the actual thing that people are talking about is, though, because I know that you're never going to say that, because you're a fucking idiot, Steven Crowder. But at least I'm a producer with a little bit of mind, so here you go.
For a bit of critique on that.
I think he put that out there so that people would bite on that.
I know, but
I think he wants to see himself trending on Twitter this morning.
Yeah, probably so. Look, good press for him is just people being mad at him right now.
Now, specifically, he was talking about children wearing masks, right?
Yeah.
Now, because of YouTube's policies, especially you, Gerald, we cannot say at all that masks are unnecessary for kids.
Right.
Or, again, we've had COVID videos removed because at one point Gerald wrongfully said that COVID was less lethal than the common flu to young people. Wrongfully.
Oh my God.
I would never say that masks for children are useless. I would never say that. I would never reflect any statistical realities that may compare it to the flu. The good thing is I don't have to. CDC, thank you.
What's
there
this
you go.
chart?
So,
That's not that was up way too quick.
I don't have to.
What
CDC,
is
thank.
this? Age group. Okay, so at least it's by age group. We know he's at least doing this slightly right. COVID-19 deaths. That's so fucking pointless. What? Like, that's not what masks are for. Everyone already knows that the mortality rate is lower in children than it is in adults for COVID-19. We're already well aware of that. Masks aren't to stop people from dying, or even to stop the person wearing the mask from catching the disease. It's to stop one big one is asymptomatic carriers, but any carrier in general, it's to slow down the spread of it. To like coughs and aerosol, it's an aerosolized disease. Like coughs, sneezes, just doing what I'm doing, talking right now. Absolutely, you would be safer if I had if you were in the room with me, you would be safer if I had a mask on. And that's what the masks are for. So this chart is fucking meaningless. Like, if you think the only use of masks for children was to make it so that child didn't die, then sure. But that's not what the masks for anyone has ever been for. If everyone does it, that's the way it works. But with the shitheads that we have in our country, unfortunately, it just isn't.
Thank you. There you go. So
that's not us. That's them.
That was the
CDC.
Center for Disease Control in the United States.
Right.
That is just making sure.
The experts.
I don't know who's going to fact check them.
Yeah.
World Health Organization.
Yeah, it'll change in a minute.
We know it won't be Taiwan.
Yeah. When we was in New York last week, everybody on the street had on masks.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Well, even the homeless people had masks on.
Well, the good thing is it makes them harder to identify when they commit homicide. We'll get to it in a second. A drastic increase in homicides. We're back to Dinkins levels. By the way, despite all of the data.
When things opened back up, there was an increase in homicide. Wow, surprising. I'm not going to comment on the mask thing because that was a joke.
From the CDC on COVID.
It was a bad joke, but that was a joke. There's no way that he thinks there's no way that he thinks that these masks are making it easier for people to commit crimes. I don't even think Steven Crowder's that stupid.
Hey, Michigan is still enacting this toddler mask policy.
Oh, good.
Yeah, anyone who's over 2 years old.
I knew it when I saw that policy go through. Michigan. Why? I I knew I was gonna see this shit show up on like Tucker Carlson or Steven Crowder or one of the fucking right-wing pundits, probably Mark Dice too. Like, Michigan, if you didn't know, is getting hit very, very hard by COVID right now, so they are kind of reacting very, very heavily with legislation. But it is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they're having 2-year-olds put on masks. But I do agree with the selection, like places that they're at, because it's not like, you know, your kid in a stroller needs to be on mask while you're in a park, or have a mask on while you're in a park or anything like that. What it is well, you can see it here: camps and daycare centers. So places where they'll be indoors next to each other. Kids need to wear masks to slow the spread between each other. Makes sense. And I mean, it protects the employees too. So that does make sense. I do think it's a little young. I think they probably should have kept it around, like, I don't know, 3 to 4-year-olds. Like, I just don't know any 2-year-olds that are in daycare centers, to be fair. So maybe I'm wrong on that, because there's got to be some, right? But yeah, I knew the second I saw the ages on that I was gonna see this shit pop up in right-wing punditry. I'm honestly surprised I didn't see it make bigger waves.
Good luck with that. Good luck with dealing with the terrible twos and putting on a double-ply mask.
Oh man,
How are you gonna keep that
How
on?
is that? Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
They're
Like,
gonna
kids are
take that right
gonna
off.
take it off like everything else they try to do.
And they're useless.
Common sense.
They're useless for toddlers because masks don't block.
I thought he was talking about kids for a second, bro. Like, when he was just like, and they're useless right after the dude started talking about toddlers. I was like, oh. And say it with your chest. Tell us how you really feel, Steven Crowder. Tell us how you really feel about that kid that you had. Oh, but no, okay. He's still just thinking that you're trying to, that masks are to protect protect the kid from dying and not everybody else. Okay.
Boogers.
They'll
find
keep 'em in.
toddlers when it comes to eating boogers. Life finds a way.
Basically, it's just a booger
and
pouch.
there it is.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Okay.
That's what counts as a joke in right-wing punditry, by the way. Like, Jesus.
I just love the frying pan. So the comments from Tucker Carlson, of course, sparked mass outrage. Ted Lieu, which, by the way, look, I almost don't want to reference him.
I know he sucks.
Well, no, because there is an epidemic of anti-Asian hate
true.
crimes in this country.
It's true. Yeah.
And so
By
it doesn't,
black people.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And there we go. I was just waiting for them to say something racist for Crowder. Bob black people. Like, that's literally the only reason they're ever there. That's the only reason they're ever at anything, to be fair, is so that they can say something racist for the dude that they're on stage or in a recording studio or what have you with.
We didn't say it.
Hey, by the
That was
way,
them.
Remember how you were the hot ticket like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
How does it feel to be used?
Yeah.
No one's
How does
talking
that
about them
feel?
anymore. Remember they tried to imply that we were anti-Asian at one
Oh, of
point?
course, yeah.
Yeah, we have a disproportionate amount of Asians. I feel guilty for outsourcing.
That's
I
true.
know.
You have 2 Asians on your staff. I count 3 people here. There's a white dude. There's at least 6 to 8 people that are on the staff, and he has 2 Asians on it. Like, what do you mean disproportionate?
Marginalized.
So Ted Lieu tweeted, Tucker Carlson wants to cancel parents who make the decision to have their child wear a mask. The right-wing cancel culture is out of control. I see.
Oh,
Being
what?
facetious.
Shut
What
up.
the hell?
Cancel culture.
Who or what are they going to try and cancel next? Major League Baseball? Oh, wait, Tucker must go. The Democratic...
They're not even gonna sit on that because they're just mad that they get called out for being the proponents of cancel culture, bro. Oh, I love it. Like, right-wingers get so heated when you use their same bullshit language against them. And, like, it blows my mind, because you'd think if they're the place that it originated at, they would have the counter arguments ready to go, right? But never. It floors them every time, and they just go, oh, come on. You're the real canceler, come on.
Pac Midas Touch tweeted, if Tucker Carlson thinks masks are so bad, why is he comfortable wearing his hood? I get the implication.
What?
That he's a Democrat. And the Lincoln Project, professional banger, groomer, and cover-up of kids, tweeted, Tucker Carlson is a national security threat. Pass it on. You had sex with children.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's not the Lincoln Project. There was a guy there, but people knew. Here's the thing. It's one thing, let's say you're pushing, I don't know, let's say an earmark in a bill.
I mean, screw the Lincoln Project. Like, I have no love for them. Screw them. But also, like, Tucker Carlson, his own fans literally admit that they'll watch it once for enjoyment and then once to learn how to dog whistle. Like, Tucker Carlson's a national security risk. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Like, anyone who riles people up like Tucker Carlson does, kind of a risk.
Of coal subsidy, and you happen to have sexual intercourse with children. It's another when your entire platform, the Lincoln Project, is built around the idea that, hey, that person is immoral. We're the Republicans who are not immoral, and you groom and sexually abuse children. I don't know why you're allowed to still be a thing.
I think you should go.
Shouldn't be.
Someone bring a frying pan to the old Lincoln Project.
Get that guy out of
Not
jail.
literally. That is not a call to violence.
No, of course not.
It's not a call to violence. But let's just randomly play this clip of a violence. Okay, weird. But at least, you know, I'll give Steven Crowder this. Lincoln Project shouldn't be around anymore. That was a huge scam that I think it's hilarious that liberals got scammed out of their money for. I don't know what they were doing, thinking that they were going to give money to Republicans because they're the good ones that don't like Donald Trump, and it was gonna go well. Absolutely mind-blowing. But pretty much everything else there was just saying that Tucker Carlson is right about having people call the police on people for having their kids have masks outside, but providing literally no reason for it other than deaths aren't very high for children, and that's not what masks are for anyway. It's for protecting everyone, not just the person wearing the mask. So, I mean, overall, like, they really didn't defend Tucker Carlson at all. I'm not too surprised by that, but that's kind of how it be. But hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It really does help the channel grow, and I appreciate it a ton. And with that out of the way, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful day. Hey, Falcone General. How's it going? Unfortunately, I'm going to be right back, right after you came in. I just need to go run to the restroom and grab some more water, and I'll be back like 3 minutes, 5 minutes tops. And you know what? Let me pull up some music. I'll throw on, or you know what? We can, I'll put on Democracy Now! So you guys can check that. No, Democracy Now! Copyright strikes me. I won't do that. I will throw on a TierZoo video for you guys to check out while I get water.
Why don't you become a demon as well?
Both growing old and passing away.
Be right back.
Ever since they were first added to the game, the cat build has been a dominant force in the meta. The largest ones, they square up with some of the most powerful builds of the Ice Age. And in the current meta, even the smallest variants can rack up absurd KD ratios. However, not all cat builds are such an impressive meta-defining force. The cheetah is one of the few feline builds facing some serious challenges lately. But are they truly a bottom-tier build? They have quite a few impressive abilities and a stat spread unlike any other cat. But they've also got some pretty major weaknesses. So today I'd like to take the time to elaborate on the generalizations I made in my original cat tier list video a few years back. Realistically, every build on that list deserves a video to itself, and seeing as cheetahs are my favorite of the bunch, I'll start with them. We'll begin with the positives. So cheetahs have a rather unorthodox stat spread. While most cats focus mainly on power and stealth, the cheetah has sunk all available evolution points into mobility, granting it the highest mobility stat in the game. This is pretty important because it makes the cheetah the only carnivore build in the African meta that can actually chase down and outspeed herbivores like the impala and gemspot. All of the other carnivores need to either pull off a successful stealth strike or keep up the chase at a distance and wait for their target's stamina to run out. Cheetahs can actually close the distance on any fleeing player at top speed. The cheetah also has a few other abilities that it specifically specs into to support its high-speed strategy. The cheetah has a much longer tail than most cats, which grants it bonus stability and a tighter turn radius while running. This makes it very difficult to juke a pursuing cheetah. Cheetahs also have dark streaks under their huge eyes, which reduces glare and grants them bonus accuracy on their attacks. Cheetahs also took a page from the canine playbook and opted for non-retractable claws, which is a big change from what most felid players spec into. Keeping their claws unretracted grants the cheetah extra traction while running. Cheetahs often don't get enough credit for their effectiveness using team strategies. Their high intelligence allows them to organize some pretty coordinated attacks that enable a party of cheetah mates to take down some surprisingly large targets, or stand their ground in some normally unwinnable confrontations. This is about where the positives end though, and pretty much every ability I just mentioned comes with some serious downsides.
My sister is sick, and my only goal is to ensure that the two of us survive.
I'm tired of this.
The cheetah's over-specialization into the agility skill tree leaves it with some highly exploitable vulnerabilities. In order to remain lightweight enough to achieve its incredible movement speed, the cheetah drastically cut its defensive stats. With a tall, lanky frame, thin skin, and no body fat, a cheetah can't afford to take any hits at all, a fact that affects every aspect of their gameplay. First, this means they cannot take many risks while on the attack. Now, most predators will avoid risks and go for easy kills on low-level players. However, in the cheetah's case, a player deciding to put up pretty much any resistance at all is too risky. This makes sense though, as unless they land a critical hit on an opponent's weak point, they can't deal much damage.
And I can't find more
Since their claws aren't retractable, they are blunted while running, which debuffs their potential slash damage and eliminates one of the cat build's signature combat moves, the paw swipe. Cheetahs do have one claw on the back of their paws that is not used for traction and therefore remains sharp, and this claw gives them a bonus to grappling attempts while pouncing. However, its placement
I don't know if you guys like TRZ videos, but I really do.
Is defending
I love TRZ.
And unfortunately, the inability to defend themselves is the crucial weakness that keeps cheetahs low on the tier list, because a cheetah player will need to do a lot of defending. In particular, there are two scenarios where cheetahs run into issues. The first is defending a kill. Using a burst of speed this powerful costs a lot of stamina and
dude, like, look at the way cheetahs run. That's so nuts to me too. Like, if you ever, I don't know if he did like one of those X-ray type videos in this in here at all, but like where you see the muscle structure of like the way a cheetah runs, it's fucking nuts, dude. It's a super cool thing to look at.
A huge amount of heat, to the point where after making a kill, cheetahs will need to wait for their stamina to regenerate before they can start eating. And it's during this huge window of time that other predator players will take advantage of the cheetah's lackluster defensive skills. Hyena and lion mains have no problem stealing a cheetah's kill. Most of the time, the cheetah player will wisely choose to concede the kill, but if they do put up a fight, they're likely to get bodied pretty hard. Now, while this is frustrating for the cheetah player base, it's not impossible to simply play around this weekend.
Glass cannons,
most
boys.
cheetah players simply avoid hunting while hyenas
Glass
are
cannons,
nearby,
baby.
and also try to get most of their kills while the lion player base is offline.
Out
and
here
considering
jungling.
lions only spend about 4 hours a day logged in, this is a decent window of opportunity. Objective defense is tough enough for cheetahs, but if you think they struggle to defend a control point for just a few dozen minutes, imagine how tough it is for them to complete the game's escort mission. Due to their low spawn rates, protecting offspring is a core part of the mammal build's gameplay. Cheetahs unfortunately do terribly at this, because similar to with defending a kill, a persistent predator player will pretty much always win. All a cheetah can really do is try to chase players away before they even get within range of detecting their cubs. Low-level cheetahs also spec into coloration that's meant to fool players into thinking they're actually a honey badger, which would be a much less free kill. However, once they're found out, even a max-level cheetah using its best attacks and intimidation techniques will stand little chance of actually stopping an attack from a lion or hyena.
Yeah, look how much bigger that lion is than that fucking cheetah, though, dude. Like, no way you're taking the
will stand
W.
little chance of actually stopping
Weight classes
attacks
exist
from
for a
lion or
reason.
hyena. In fact, even smaller predator players like jackals can score kills on cheetah cubs using team strategies, as chasing away multiple attackers at once is near impossible. Because of their poor defensive skills,
Although, do
cheetah
cheetahs
players have
like,
only a 30.
I don't know, do cheetahs work in packs or are they more like solo? Because if they worked in packs, that feels like that would get rid of a lot of those
chance
problems.
of even unlocking their first level up achievement. All this to say that unfortunately, despite plenty of very valid points put towards me on places like Reddit and Twitter, cheetahs are indeed bottom tier, and honestly I'd expect the build to completely disappear from the meta if they don't change their strategies up.
Huh.
And I know it'd be a difficult task to give up on holding the record for the fastest movement speed in the game, but it's worth mentioning that this movement speed has its own limitations too. It's really only useful in open terrain, and is severely hampered by any obstacles. In fact, one of the best counterplays to the cheetah's attack strategy is simply to stay near cover and move into a less open
just
area
get into a
if cheetah
fucking
player
forest
makes an
and be
attack
like,
attempt.
suck dick,
Moving at such a
bro.
high speed is not without risks, and
Dipping
these
and
risks
diving,
can become
bro.
insurmountable if the terrain isn't favorable.
Oh.
And the
All right,
cheetah's
maybe not
mobility
dipping
also
and
suffers
diving,
in other
bro.
areas too. Their blunted claws are much less useful for climbing, removing what might have been a low-level cheetah's best defense against predators like the hyena and jackal. I could go on to talk about the cheetah's lack of access to the ability Roar, or talk about how the cheetah's player base is so small that it's actually hampering their ability to gain new evolution points. But I think you get the picture. Cheetah players, I wish you the best of luck, but I don't have high hopes for you. As tough as a playthrough of the cheetah build can be, they are fascinating to watch. And if you're interested in seeing more of the cheetah's struggle for survival, you should check out The Secret Life of Cheetahs, a documentary that chronicles the life of a family of cheetahs as they
I've
navigate
actually
life
watched
in the
this.
savannah.
It's really cool.
You can watch it right now on CuriosityStream, the sponsor of today's video.
I'm not sponsored by CuriosityStream though, so you're not getting that. But yeah, no, I've actually watched Secret Lives of Cheetahs. It is very, very cool if you're into nature docs. It has the benefit, at least the benefit in my opinion, because I hate David Attenborough, of not being like so slow, or like everything so slowly said and drawn out. Like it's a lot more tightly packed and cohesive in my opinion. Okay, but we'll back getting away from the happiness. We got treats for too long. We have to go back to the hate pits. Pretty much all I have left here for video reacts I wanted to do is Salty Cracker, and you know what? Let's see what Mark Dice is up to. We might have a Mark Dice or something. This is your fucking banner, bro. Really? Okay. Mask Madness is worse than you thought. California. YouTube CEO wins major award. I'm gonna be real, this all sounds boring as hell to me, dude. Wait, he got banned off Facebook? That's probably not really a good video to do, because I don't have too many receipts on like Mark Dice's activities online. But like, that's hilarious to me though. That's so funny. Oh man. Okay, let's see. Well, if not Mark Dice, I had someone in mind. Give me a second. Ariel, no, I hate Ariel. I'm trying to stay away from people who literally just make their content just to get the clickbait views on it. And that's all Ariel Scarcella is. Oh, let's see what Timcast is up to. Oh, the quartering. That's who I was thinking of. Good old Quarter Pounder. And I can say Quarter Pounder because I'm a double Quarter Pounder. Oh, Jesus. To succeed in dating, women must allow... Oh, boy. You want to watch some MGTOW shit from Tim Pool? Oh, God. Police should quit. They're propping up the failing systems, and they know it. Yeah, actually, they are propping up failing systems. And please, don't quit. That would just own us libs so hard. Don't do that. I would just be so absolutely scared and owned if all the police in my city said fuck off and quit. We definitely couldn't handle it better with, like, well-funded intervention from social workers in the majority of cases, or the rest of our fucking, like, setups for SWAT that we have in our goddamn city. They're set up for, active shooters. We definitely need people with guns making traffic stops. Who's on that? Melanie Notkin. That is. We'll see if the MGTOW one's any good. Let's see if Quartering's got anything. First Jeopardy contestant to what? Oh, it's the dude who did the three fingers thing. Oh my god. Twitter is the worst. This one's really bad too, honestly. It's gonna piss me off because I bet you Quartering is probably on the right side of this opinion. In that, well, he probably isn't on the right side that Destiny has a bunch of shitty opinions. But Destiny should not have been banned for somebody else flashing a picture of Hunter Biden having sex on his stream. Like, that's nonsense. Destiny should not have been banned for that. I don't like Destiny at all, and he absolutely, like, says all kinds of things that are really deplorable. But to clap when someone's getting banned for that kind of dumb stuff is like, I mean, you realize that could happen to any of us, right? That, like, if I ever have anyone on stream, or if anyone ever has anyone on stream and they want to insta-nuke an account, all they need to do is hold up their cell phone with a picture on it and they can do it. Like, now, obviously, it's way less likely to happen with someone. Well, it's not going to happen with me because I have two people watching me. But with, like, someone like Destiny, Vosh, any of the bigger streamers, or even someone like the size of Dylan or Aristocracy, stuff like that, could get enough reports out on one stream of someone doing that to get an account nuked like that. And that's not something that we should be applauding at all. Let's see. Nickelodeon propaganda. Okay, yeah, I'll throw that up. I bet you it's not. We might have to find, like, the video that he's reacting to if he's not actually going to play it. But we'll probably do that. Cool. Close that out.
When it comes to dating, I tell
Yeah, we'll start with Salty Cracker, because this one is very funny to me. Sorry, just thinking of how I want to open this video here. It was a great travesty when we watched our grand dunce, Salty Cracker, run from the platform because he was afraid of the left mobs reporting him. Because he had some reports on a video. So he, let me show you here actually, nuked all of the videos on his YouTube channel. Here we are. Nuked all of the videos on his YouTube channel and then decided he was going to start re-uploading about 2 weeks ago, and just said that YouTube tried to kill my channel. That literally, it was just he got reported on some videos, and they were in review. I think it was like one specific video that was in review, and he was like, I don't know, guys, I'm getting scared. And then he deleted everything on YouTube and just re-uploaded it to like BitChute and another place. So, like, that's the level of pure big brain energy we're dealing with here. But it was a great travesty when we saw that happen, because we no longer had our fool to laugh at. But rejoice, the dumbest man on the internet is back yet again. And this time, he's around to fall for what might be the most obvious faked video I have ever seen. Let's watch this and enjoy.
Well, my friends, they did it. New York City. They solved racism. That's right. The governor, the mayor, they tweeted out black squares for unity. They painted Black Lives Matter in the middle of the street. They painted it in front of Donald Trump's building. Take that, you fucking bigot. And they solved the racism. What's next? I mean, when you solve racism, which seems something that's, utterly complex.
Oh boy. Like, it's so weird to me when people are accidentally left-wing. Because no, obviously New York didn't solve racism by painting some shit and putting up a black square. And that's kind of a leftist critique. Now, I'm willing to bet the second I unpause this, it's going to immediately be some really dumb right-wing backing to it. But, like, that's technically left-wing there. Good job, buddy. No, they didn't solve racism, and it would be a pretty complicated thing to do.
It's been around since humans have been around. Once you solve something that difficult, where do you go to next? Do you work on that crazy problem of poop on the streets? Can you figure out how to clean urine off the sidewalks, my friends? Maybe you guys can work on getting the hypodermic needles out of the gutters. Or maybe
you could, like, deal with the homeless population, deal with the rampant use of drugs in the city in general, having safe injection sites, treating, I don't know, drug users like human beings. I don't know. But that's liberal cuck. Oh, wait, I can't say that on Twitch, damn it. But that's liberal. I can't even think of the internet has rotted my brain to where I'm trying to think of another word to replace that, and I just can't. Let's just go.
you can do something about the rampant criminality. Now that you solve racism, can you work on some of that? Oh, hell no. Take a look at this. We did a video a few days ago where you had a stabbing in New York City on a street corner in broad daylight. It looked like the pedestrians in the middle of the fucking crosswalk were not even phased by this. This shit must be...
Why did you do a bit, like... Does he live in... Does anyone know? Does Salty Cracker live in New York or something? Because, like, why would you do a video on someone getting stabbed, like, just getting stabbed in New York? I mean, I don't want to sound callous, but you're not a news organization, and if you're not, like, New York based, what the fuck does that have to do with you at all? I'm willing to bet the reason he covered it is probably because it was a black guy stabbing somebody, and he wanted to talk about how black people are violent. Like, let's take a look at his BitChute if you want to see what he's afraid to post on YouTube. And I'm very confident to say it's fear. He is afraid to post it on YouTube. The man is a coward. Wow, is that really... Why did I find it so easy before? I'm gonna have to just go to bitchute.com. I hate this website. They changed the site? Okay. Salty Cracker, that's what I was looking up. There we go. We can just go through a full scroll. A bunch of stuff about the Arizona audit that he won't post. All of his streams, because he has to stream on D-Live now, went there. Black instructor writes about murdering white friends at dinner party. Like, it's all stuff like this. Literally anything that has to do with the election, he refuses to post on YouTube because he's afraid. Like, all kinds of stuff. Oh, wow, did he nuke? Okay, I was going to say, it just stopped loading. I was saying, did he nuke everything here, too? Yeah, Breonna Taylor's mom calls BLM a fraud. FedEx shooter that was allowed to attack was a brony pervert. Like, all kinds of stuff like that. It's really any marginalized group, he's down to attack it. Now you go back over here, and it's a lot more sanitized, isn't it? Just whenever I say that right-wing, like, content creators are cowards, this is the type of shit that I'm talking about. Like, I don't have anything that are posted on different websites and stuff because I'm afraid that my account will get nuked if I don't have it up. If I have it up on this, if I have something to say, I stand behind it.
Remember Nickelodeon?
Shut up, Quartering.
Going on all day long, every day in the place. So nice, they named it twice. And now we've got another video. This is just crazy. Here you got a cop being whacked in the side of the head by some lunatic who is so openly brazen, it just seems utterly bizarre to see. I mean, for fuck's sake. The cop.
It's so utterly bizarre that it's almost like it's a staged video, that there's no way it actually happened.
The detective in this over here is outside a broken window from a store that's just been robbed. They're investigating this, which actually I'm kind of shocked that they even got enough manpower to do that. But they're out there doing this, and this fucking scumbag just walks up to the cop and smacks him on the side of the head.
Dude just walks, yeah, because that's absolutely a thing that happens. I'm walking around New York. You know what I'm doing? I'm gonna take this stick and I'm going to lightly tap the cop that's investigating something in the side of the head, and then lightly jog away as another cop lightly jogs after me and checks over his shoulder to make sure the camera's watching before he runs faster.
Turns around, starts kind of walking away from the scene, and some other cops go out and chase him. And what's fascinating is, it looks like, as one of the cops is like, holy shit, that dude just smacked my body. He runs
look for the camera.
Halfway over there and he goes,
and then
where's
run.
my backup? Because now I'm chasing a black dude. Holy.
Oh, where's my backup? Yeah, that's what that was. He was looking for backup, not checking to make sure that the camera is still checking him. And also, are you admitting that the cops are racist and would be looking for backup because it's a black guy? Let's run that back.
He runs halfway over there and he goes, where's my backup? Because now I'm chasing a black dude. Holy shit.
Oh. Cops are racist in New York by your own admission. Cool. Cool. Definitely didn't have videos up on your channel before you nuked it because you're a coward, stating the exact opposite like 3-4 months ago. Whatever. Cool.
I'm chasing I look like a slight shade of white, maybe Italian, not quite sure, but certainly not black and definitely not brown enough. I ain't going by myself to chase down this son of a bitch because he comes at me with these, what kind of sticks are these? He's got some sort of Mortal Kombat sticks going over here. He comes at me, I'm going to have to blast him. And if I got to blast him, you know, entire New York City going to go up in flames if we ain't got enough body cam footage around us. So he starts calling for backup. I got to chase a black dude. We need 15 people, maybe a drone escort. Do we got any of those fucking...
That's the angle they're going with it. The cops are just afraid to deal with black people because what if something happens and they have to shoot them? And what just gonna be protest? Dude, shut the fuck up. Are you kidding me? Literally as trials are going on for cops that murdered a dude on camera. cops were shooting people. Like, cops aren't afraid to deal with black people because they're afraid that they might have to shoot because there's a weapon coming out. That's literally what they're trained for, and the reason that shootings happen so much with the police. Like, they aren't worried about it happening again. A lot of them are pretty psyched for it.
Those cogs, what are those psychogs from Minority Report? We're going to need all types of apparatus to make sure that New York City doesn't burn down as I go arrest a dude who's so brazen that he's attacking cops in the middle of the day. I mean, holy shit. What a clusterfuck New York is. This is the New York Post, by the way. NYPD detective whacked in the head with a stick in brazen broad daylight attack. And they caught him.
Okay, he's not going to replay the video because he knows how ridiculous it looks. Let's go ahead and let's look up this video again so you guys can get a couple of watches of it. Because it's so stupid. NYPD stick. I'm just going to Google that. I bet you'll get it. Yep.
New tonight, a brazen attack on an NYPD detective. Showing a man walk up to the detective. It was caught on camera.
Look at this. Tap. And then kind of just saunter. Are they just looping this? Okay, kind of saunters away very slowly, then goes, okay, the guy that's supposed to chase me's out now. Runs, like, does a little jog, checks to make sure the camera is watching him, bro. Then goes and chases after the guy. Let's go ahead and do that again. Where's that? There we go. Let's get the bink in again. Bink. The violent, brazen attack on our men in blue that I have just committed, but I need to stand behind this sign and make sure that this dude comes out to follow me real quick, though, or I'm not getting paid. And amateur actor work is real hard to find. Oh, am I being recorded? Okay, good. I'm being recorded. Let's go. Like, come on. It's the most staged video I've ever fucking seen. It might as well be a Project Veritas video. But leave it to the dumbest man on the internet to buy it entirely.
Will he be charged is the question. I got a weird feeling that because they've thrown law and order out of this place, this dude's just going to be released on bail. They won't even have bail because bail's fucking racist. So, no, sir, go ahead and leave. You promised to come back to court next week, right, sir? This guy's gonna be like, oh yeah, definitely. I'll be right back. No shit, no, come on, man. Anyway, the uniformed cop was processing the scene of a robbery in Queens at around 11:15 a.m. when he was assaulted, the NYPD said. Footage shared by the Detectives Endowment Association showed the cop standing outside the crime scene and taking notes near some broken glass. And everybody knows that taking notes, are you writing them notes in English? Everybody knows that English is an affront to black people. It's the language of slavers, you fucking bigot. And now you're going to be assaulted by this proud anti-racist, the civil rights movement, boys. Fucking hell. When a man holding two...
You know, let's look up the dude's name, too. Fuck it. Akeel Morgan. Maniac who whacked cop in Queens, taken for psyche eval. Oh my god, that's... Holy shit. Is there anything that's not New York Post here? Lawofficer.com, Newsweek, Metro.co. We got a Yahoo. Holy shit. Like, no one worth their Daily Mail. There's literally not a single organization, even a right-wing one, that, like, is worth their own weight that would throw themselves behind it. Breitbart didn't even bite on this, dude. Like, Breitbart doesn't even want to bite it. Why is my article longer than his? How do I find better New York Post articles than he does? What the fuck? Court officer told the Post, blah, blah, speak to the judge's arraignment. He also only answered questions by shaking his head yes or no. Footage, perp then attacks another cop. He was charged. Detectives, there was no so yeah, there's literally no information here. That dude is this guy is literally never going to see a court date because that was fucking planted. Like, he was absolutely told to do that.
Long white sticks crept up behind him. The perp then whacked the officer who crouched down while holding his head in pain. What happened? Somebody asked. Look at these people in the back. Everyone's just kind of walking around. It's no big deal. And so they chase him down. This is the cop that's like...
They're walking around like it's no big deal because you literally couldn't even hear the hit because the guy went tink with a stick, dude. Like, there's nothing for them to react to.
I need backup! Not black cop chasing a black perp! Am I allowed to say black perp? So anyway, he gets charged with assault, criminal possession of a weapon, resisting arrest, and disorderly conduct. The detective suffered a gash to the side of his head and a whip mark, according to his union. No motive was immediately...
No, he didn't. One, you can literally see the cop in the side of his face in the video. No, he didn't. But two, don't you think that the fucking New York Post and everywhere, and his union, would be blasting photos? If this was a real thing that happened, like this is actually a real assault and not staged, are you telling me that the police union for New York and the New York Post wouldn't have his fucking bloody gashed face blown up, put 2-3 times through this article? Like, that is their MO to a T, bro.
Provided for attack. But we can't just jump to conclusions? It's a black dude attacking a non-black person. We can't do the whole racism thing? We can't say that this is probably some of the fruit being bared out by the anti-cop rhetoric by all of the Democrat cocksuckers and the Hollywood pedophiles and people like LeBronathan James? Is anybody shocked that cops are being openly assaulted in New York City, a place that treats its police like shit, so much so that when the mayor walks by them, all of the police turn their back on this dude? The place that's so fucked up that
treats their police like shit so bad. Dude, New York police are paid very well. Like, the New York Police Department has one of the highest budgets in the nation for policing. Like, there's more police per citizen in New York than most countries. Wow, sorry, most cities in the U.S. Like, the police in New York are entitled children.
You've got police being attacked by lunatics in the middle of the day. They throw in buckets of water. They throw the bucket at the fucking cops. It's totally fine to douse police with water. It's a complete joke what's going on in this place. And warning, warning, warning. Even to the people out there who hate fucking cops. You have criminals so brazen in these Democrat-run shitholes that they're walking up to a shit ton of cops. How does this not blow the narrative away, by the way? Here you got a shitbag lunatic over here who walks up to 4 or 5 armed white Supreme police officers and brazenly whacks them.
Yeah, it's almost like it was a staged event, isn't it? It's almost like the thing that you're reacting to is the most obvious stage shit in the world, bro.
I'm not thinking that this dude's afraid of white cops or cops in general at this point if he's just going to walk up there and whack him.
No, they just paid him. Why would he be afraid?
Explodes that narrative that black people are being hunted. If anything, it's like a black dude commits a crime in this place, the cops are afraid to do anything. And so, here, if you have a place like this, New York City and these other Democrat-run shitholes, where the criminals are so brazen that they're openly slapping cops in the side of their head with sticks in the broad daylight, that's not going to bode well for the average person who lives.
Also, does he not understand that people have shot cops before, right? People have shot a cop before. Like, does he think that this stick incident is worse than, like, any time that someone's died on the force? Like, what? Absolutely, people have been brazen enough to go ahead and fuck up a cop if it's going to happen. because people have literally always been. Like, no matter what levels of authority you give a cop, people will still be willing to go and fuck them up, just at greater risk to themselves while they're doing it. With that being said, what's happening here has no risk to anybody, because the dude who got hit in the face with the cane knew he was going to get hit in the face with a cane, got tapped, and then the guy who did the swinging literally waited to see the other person that was supposed to chase him come out the building to then turn around and jog a little bit before that guy who was supposed to chase him stopped and turned around to watch for the camera before starting back up and running after him. It's the most obvious shit in the world. So of course Salty Cracker believes it's true that it's fucking not planted. It's so dumb.
In this shithole. Law and order gone out the window, and a signal to the criminals has been lit, the fuse has been set, and they flock into these areas because they know that the Democrat shitbags will not charge them if they even bother arresting them at this point, and they're given free reign of the city, and it's going to be a reign of terror. So prepare thyselves accordingly, my friends. Is this dude even from this country? Look at this. It looks like somebody brought in from one of these
Is he even from this country?
I
It's a black
wonder
dude.
if we
What the
imported
fuck?
this
That is literally just a black dude in an orange hoodie.
individual, and I wonder if this is
He is just a black dude in a hoodie.
a refugee from one of these countries that we're rescuing, and this is how America is being paid back in full. Our police officers are being smacked in the side of the head. Holy hell. Hey, get on that AOC, right? You care so much, right? The entire place is going up in flames. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Supporting the channel.
Yeah, no one's supporting your shit. Like, it's such an absolute joke, dude. I can't believe he, after one, believing this is for real, like, turns around then goes, well, I bet he's not even a real American. We probably imported him. Look at that name. Akil? He didn't even say look at that name. He literally went look at the person. And it's a guy in a hoodie. Like, are you kidding me, bro? Oh, boy. Well, as I've said before, Salty Cracker will always be the dumbest man on the internet. He had to have been created in a lab to be as stupid as physically possible, because there's just no other way that works out. Like, and I mean, you know what? I already have to change it back, because I do have to roll that back a bit. He's the dumbest content creator on the internet, because people are fans of this guy. There are people who are fans of Salty Cracker who actually get on my videos and are real mad, but they're stupid enough that they can only comment things. They're just like, fuck you, bro, and stuff like that. They don't even try to argue. They just go, fuck you, and then get mad when I hit a heart on it and delete it. So that's about where the base is with his fan base. Those people, dumber people on the internet. As for content creators, though, no. I'm fairly confident that the kid from Ryan's Toy Reviews would absolutely score higher on an SAT today than Salty Cracker would. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Like, Salty Cracker didn't get past the first grade reading level. At least Ryan can read the packaging on his toys. But hey, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow, and I appreciate it a ton. And with that shit out of the way, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Yeah, well, I have no idea how he couldn't tell that was faked. Because that is, like I said in the video, the most obviously faked clip in the world. I've seen student art projects that were more convincing. And I mean, you can tell it's especially bad too when it's not even like anyone besides the New York Post and Daily Beast will pick it up. Daily Mail will pick it up. If you can't even get Breitbart or OAN or something to run with it, then you gotta know that you got absolutely nothing, right? Let's see. On, sorry, real quick, I'm just naming some clips so I don't forget what they are. Yeah, true. No, he legit did just assume he was an immigrant because it was a black dude with. I think it was probably the scarf that like made him go, "Oh, it's an immigrant," but like nonsense. But yeah, like I mean, I showed you the dude's. I don't know if you were here during it, but I was showing the guy's bit shoot up a bit, and I mean, he keeps his racist reined in a little bit on YouTube, and I say a little bit. But that BitChute channel is filled with pretty much it's whatever he's willing to put on his YouTube channel, racist videos, like talking about 1350, black crime statistics, that kind of stuff, or election fraud videos. And like he does it non-stop. Non-stop. It's wild. Let's see. Do I want to do a quartering video or do I want to do a temp? I mean, they're both pretty awful, to be honest. I'm gonna do Timpool. At least Timpool, I'll get like some reaction or like some other people talking. Quartering, it's just Quarter Pounder. One last drink of water before I start this up. Yeah, I know. Still talking about election fraud in May. It's wild. But these dudes like they have pretty much the same content loop that they run through ad nauseum until right-wing pundits that are way higher up the chain give them the new like orders down on what to talk about. So until that happens, and really you're not getting that too much right now except anti-trans legislation. For some reason, he doesn't talk about trans people too much. I think he got dunked on Twitter or something by him and tries to stay away. But like, as until that happens, people like Salty Cracker and Sargon, everyone aren't going to have anything new to talk about until essentially Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity tell them what to talk about. It's a little bit slightly different with Sargon because he's not American. So he'll have like his Jeremy Corbyn stuff to talk about too. But overall, really, it's just a couple of talking points that'll get refreshed over and over and over and over up until the new drop hits. They waiting for that expansion pack. And to be honest, the expansion pack is always just what's the group that we hated before? Well, we're going to do the same things that we did to them, except it's this group now. So gay people, LGBT, or the gay people, trans rights. Black people, Mexicans, Asians, just Asians, specifically Chinese. Like, it's a clear roll through. Pretty much you just take whatever you were yelling about before and just slap onto a new group, change the talking points little bit here and there to make it make sense for what you changed it to, and you roll. I honestly wish I had a less of a moral core, because my god, would it be so easy to be like, this is why I left the left, and just make some video about how the leftists are the real racists and make a bunch of money off being just a fucking Candace Owens grifter. Yet here I am, doing streams every once in a while and making video essays where I do like extensive research on the psychological effects of gambling and how it relates to game shows and shit like that. When meanwhile I could just be going, they canceled my Rape Skunk, but I like the Rape Skunk even though I didn't watch it. I want Rape Skunk. And I'd probably get way more views. Enough complaining though. We'll go ahead and get ourselves in the video. Start our record. Let's see. Some of you may remember what is honestly a legendary clip in my mind at this point of Tim Pool realizing that there's just no way that women not wanting to date him could be his fault, that him being single into his 30s is his fault and not the fault of somebody else's. Like, that was a peak wow moment for the internet. I think Tim Pool is about to recreate that moment for us. Because here I have for you, women need to allow themselves to be feminine when dating. Feminism is wrong. Eventually, he had to understand, had to come to a conclusion on why it is that no one wants to be with him, and he's still single in his 30s, even though he's successful. And it can't be a terrible personality. So obviously, it needs to be the feminisms that's wrong. Let's check that out.
When it comes to dating, I tell women, it's okay to be feminine. It's okay. No, you don't have to pick the restaurant. You don't have to offer to pay. The man knows what he's getting himself into. He's prepared. We know what this is. It's a dance, and it's okay. Now, it doesn't mean you never reciprocate.
Okay, so that's also a wild thing of maybe she's not a reference. She probably isn't actually. But there has been a post that's going around of a dude who legit went on a tirade because a woman said she wanted to go to a different restaurant than what he had suggested off the front. Guys, everyone, women, men, NBs, everybody, listen up, listen close here. Some people don't like eating at certain places. Just if someone says, hey, I want to go to this restaurant, and you go like, yeah, no, or sorry, you go, hey, I want to go to this restaurant, and then someone goes, maybe I want to do this. Don't act like they were stealing your masculine authority. Also, likewise, if someone is like, hey, I want to go to a restaurant, and you also would like to go to that restaurant, maybe don't just pick a different restaurant because you want to be the one who picked it because you're a woman. That doesn't make any sense either. These are two ridiculous extremes to be at.
Other way, but let him court you. Let him give him the opportunity to show you why he's worthy of you, because that's what he wants to show you.
Picking a specific restaurant.
I don't need you to help pick the wine. I can pick my. You know what? It's wine, unless it's Chardonnay, because I really hate Chardonnay. It's okay. You're not going to die from the fact that he chose this Cabernet Sauvignon. Just let him do it. It's okay. He wants to give to you. In fact, a great way to turn men on is to ask him to help you.
I kind of feel like a lot of this.
I'm sorry. Wine choices? I guess maybe if you bought a bottle for the table. Tell me if I've been doing dating wrong. Because, I've been pretty successful and feel like I've been doing it right. But I've never sat down and been like, here is what the woman I'm sitting with is drinking. Here's what she's eating. Typically, there's a list of things that the restaurant has. Some places call it a menu. I don't know. But some places do. And then people look at it and they go, oh, I want that thing. And then you order the thing. And that includes the things you drink. Some may even be as bold as to call it a drink menu.
Has to do with, at some point, there was a...
And, like, with that drink... Sorry, I forgot my point. With that drink menu, people also choose off that and choose the things they like. Because it turns out, me, not a big fan of red wine. I like a white wine, or I mean, I like a lot of other alcohols, but not a big fan of red wine. One of my, no, not my most recent. Ex before that, huge fan of red wine. Guess what we did when we were having Hawaiian with dinner? We both got what we wanted, and it was cool. Like, literally her advice so far has been, don't get the things you want, because it might make the man feel more manly.
Fracture in our society that resulted in two different factions, I guess, right? We have the culture war today. A lot of people trying to figure out if it's left versus right, nationalist versus globalist, or authoritarian, whatever. And when I hear stories like this, you as a guy, you never know what ideology the woman holds. And so are you even allowed to make a move on the woman as it is? So you mentioned the guys want to court you. Well, if you go to like a sports pub, you're probably going to bump into a guy who knows nothing about critical theory and feminism, and he'll probably start hitting on you. If you're in a big city, though, and you go to like a hipster bar, the guys won't go anywhere near you because you're not allowed to.
Right.
So, I mean, you look at that video that...
No, okay, so that's not true. I live in a large city that is fairly progressive. People will still hit on you. Like, and you see what I am. I go to hipster bars every once in a while. I go to see a punk band and share... More often than not, a folk band and shit like that. The difference is the way people hit on people is different. And that's because they're not being creepers when they do it. Like, I've picked up on plenty of people at a fucking sports bar and at a hipster bar. My approach is the same every time. Because I just go up and talk to people like they're human beings and flirt a little bit. If they're not reciprocal for the flirting, I go on about my life. And we're all cool. Compared to the weird pickup line, like pickup artist douchebaggery stuff that dudes will do to women in bars. Like, or sports bars. Yeah, it's an entirely different scene. But it's not no one being willing to hit on people. It's like in sports bars, dudes are willing to be creepy.
Went viral. You see it was 10 hours of walking in New York as a woman. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
So some of these things that were depicted as wrong was a guy saying, howdy, or like, nice day, or how you doing? And hello.
It's terrible.
How did he get that out of that video? That video of 10 hours of walking as a woman, like, where there was dudes legit whistling at her and, like, stopping her in the middle of the street and then following her and trying to talk to her and shit. Like, yeah, that's inappropriate. Don't follow strangers in the street, bro. There's no way that could be legitimately what you took from that video. Like, you have to just be misrepresenting it.
That's the message we're getting from mainstream media. Then what guy is going to risk his reputation, his career, and then even if he does get married, get divorced at some point, and then just lose everything and his kids? Society is currently being set up in a way that is telling men to do everything they can not to get married, and they're happy. No responsibility. They can sit around playing video games all day. I think it's bad for the spirit. And in the long term, the purpose and of our society.
Don't project too hard. I don't want your soul to leave your body, Tim.
But I think this is just another factor that's resulting in the collapse of American culture and Western culture.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't want to say it's that we have too much freedom or anything like that. That we can choose to just self-gratify, right? We're a wealthy, successful country, so we can play video games all day. We can drink Mountain Dew and eat Taco Bell and not have to worry about a thing. I don't think that it's our choice, our ability to do these things. I think it's the pressures of man, I go back to like what we were mentioning earlier with doubling the workforce in a short amount of time. As soon as people were like, we should have women in the workplace if they so choose, it became part of a movement that they should be in the workplace.
Right.
All of a sudden, then you double the workforce without increasing demand, and everyone's competing and wages are dropping. Then they say, okay, we got to have
What is he talking about?
a minimum.
Is he about to start talking about like sexual marketplace value and like going into full on I can't say it on Twitch. INCEL like logic and stuff like that? Like, is he going full into that right now?
Wage to guarantee it, but there's still not enough jobs, so then some people don't have jobs. Once that happens and everyone's wages are depressed, there's a lot of other factors as to why that happens. You have all of these factors building up over decades that result in a generation of people who are not compatible in terms of long-term relationships and families.
Yeah. No, it's depressing and it's sad. And
okay. So he had pretty much nothing to say, but just was like, well, capitalism. Like, yeah, I guess that's true, in that we are seeing higher levels of social isolation because of the amount of time that we spent working and things like that. But it doesn't have anything to do with women being added to the workforce. Like, it's not women's ability to work that's making it so we're socially isolated and that we're fiscally destitute. Like, or that there even needs to be 2 incomes in a household for things to be able to work. Like, that's all the fault of capitalism. But Tim Pool will never say that because he needs to maintain his centrist grift vibe.
I think that we are too focused on the narratives of how to be a woman means, to be president of the United States, to be vice president of the United States, to be the top echelon of everything. And
I'm tired of women doing things that are more important than what I've done, and I'm gonna be saying something about it.
all the power to every woman, and I certainly strive in my own career, my own life, to reach my potential, and I'm so grateful to live in a country that enables me to do that. But the truth is different than the narrative, and the truth is that most women become mothers. Most women want to be mothers, which isn't to say that there aren't women who are child-free by choice, and I honor and champion the choice. Everybody should do what they need and want to do. The issue is that men are feeling, and I hear what you're saying, why should I get off the couch? First of all, I can sext her, and because she likes me and wants my attention, she'll sext back, so I don't even need to take her out on a date.
I'm sorry. What? What? The problem, the reason that people, what? Did she just say that the reason people aren't going on dates is because sexting exists, so you don't need to go on the date because the person already likes you and you can jack off, I guess. Ironclad argument there, buddy.
Right, and if I take her out on a date, she's going to make me feel like I'm not a man because she's going to not let me participate in.
I don't think that's an issue.
No?
No. It maybe depends on generation.
Okay.
So maybe.
Okay, at least Tim Pool's like, no, what you just said is very stupid.
Yeah.
Older guys really want that. Me personally, I've never really cared much for if a woman was like, I want this, I bet whatever, I don't care.
Right, no, right. So what women want, modern women want old-fashioned romance. Now, many feminists will say no, that's not true. But that's really what women want, and partly because they are working so hard. They are working hard in their career, those who have careers, right? They're working hard there. But also, they are nurturers. So they're working on their friendship.
Oh my god. I'm really, really hating my ad block program right now.
And they're
back.
But also, they are nurturers. So they're working on their friendships. And their girlfriends that call them upset. They're working in making sure their parents are okay, that their siblings are okay, their neighbors are okay. They do a lot because of their own innate sense of taking care of people and taking care of the children in their life, etc. And they want to know when they're with a guy that all he has to do is just say, meet me at this restaurant at 7 p.m. That is such a thing that women want. It makes them feel so good. So I don't care if she picks a place, whatever she wants. If there's a place around the corner from her that care.
It's funny. It's
also, I'm willing to bet whoever this woman is very, very confused about why she's single. I'd bet everything I own on that, actually. I know Tim Pool is, but she is too. Like, she just ping-ponged from, well, the reason that people aren't going on dates is, and that, like, actually, I don't even know what problem they're talking about. They're not really talking about any problem right now. They didn't bring up, like, birth rates or any, I don't know. Weird. But, like, the reason people aren't going on dates is because they're sexting and they can just jack off and they're so late. Why would they do that? And then Tim Pool goes, no, that's very dumb. What you just said to me, very stupid. Then Tim Pool goes off and is also very stupid. But then her comeback on that is like that women absolutely want an old school romance, and what that means is that they don't get to choose where or what they eat or drink, and that you're gonna take care of them and do it for them. Like, you sound really because they're too overworked in their day-to-day lives and care about too many other things. You sound neurotic as hell to me. Like, this seems like another one of those look inward kind of moments.
It starts to sound to me like feminism is one of the worst possible things for women in the long run, and one of the best possible things for guys in the long run, from a very, like, what's the right way? From a sort of mathematical perspective.
Okay, so feminism is the best thing out there for men in the long run, too, by the way. Men who are anti-feminist, you don't realize that feminists have been out there fighting for, like, being able to take paternity leave instead of just maternity leave, and fighting to equal out things in, like, civil and family courts and things like that. The things that men rights activists claim to do, feminists are actually doing right now. So yeah, feminism is the best way forward for men. Good job on that, Tim. However, I'd be really interested to see, like, how feminism is the worst thing for women, because they weren't allowed to have a job or vote before it. And also, let's even go further out than vote and have a job. Women couldn't open bank accounts until, like, the 70s in the US, bro. Like, feminism is absolutely, in people's lifetimes that are still alive today, been a huge boon for women. And you'd have to have a completely, like, nonsense, just nothing view of history to say anything otherwise.
Active. So guys used to have to work really hard. Backbreaking labor, wiping the sweat off their brow, covered in dirt, going down to the coal mines. Now they've got women working to support themselves, so the guys don't have to worry about it anymore. Women are...
That's why people aren't in the coal mine. Not automation. Automation has nothing to do with why white-collar jobs are on the rise. Or, like, holy shit. It's women that took all the jobs, you see. I don't know how I've been so stupid that I didn't see before this. Wow, mind blown. I'm gonna have to delete my channel. I've just been wrong the entire time. I'm so sorry.
They're not making the same demands of men in terms of, sexual relationships. It's just go on Tinder and the guy doesn't have to worry about it. So now guys don't have to work. They've got all the time in the world because they don't have a biological clock in the same way as a woman. So they're sitting back with their feet up playing video games without a stress in the world. I'm being hyperbolic.
Sure.
But women are working. Mm-hmm. They're worried about how much time they have before they can, in order to have a family.
Right.
They're stressing about how to find the right guy. And guys are just sitting there swiping on Tinder while they're watching, porn.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're swiping on Tinder and watching porn at the same time.
Same time. Yeah.
And they're like, what am I worried about?
Right.
I've got friends, I grew up skateboarding, and all of these guys don't care about anything. Mm-hmm. They will work a minimum wage job if it means that you can have 10 people in a 2-bedroom apartment, so they can work only a couple days. Mm-hmm. It's $100 a month for rent, and they can skate the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. That's all they care about.
Yeah.
And I look at the guys who grew up in...
And that is, that's different. Because, like, feminism caused that, though, right? That's what's up. Also, I like how his, like, story about the fucking things we should be so afraid of here, and, like, is a bunch of dudes who decided they didn't want to sell their fucking life away to a capitalist and wanted to just spend their days skating. So they work as little as they can so they can do that. I don't know. Seems like maybe not a huge W, but that seems like those dudes are at least doing what they want. Like,
you know, like around me from my neighborhood and everything. A few of them, you know, have families, but not by plan, you know what I mean? And then everyone else who kind of planned and worked and went to college, they're sitting back with their feet up, making tons of money, they have careers, and they're not worried at all. And you talk to them and they're like, I don't know, you know, when I'm 40.
Funny that Tim Pool will say that he'll go between saying that he knows all these people that went to college, kicked their feet up, and everything's doing well for them, when he's talking about stuff like building a family and, you know, your typical Western values type things. But if you're talking about poverty or violence statistics in low income areas, or anything that would have to do with low income at all, Tim Pool will be quick to tell you about how he grew up in that inner city, and everyone that he knows is still poor, and he grew up poor, and yada 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 yada. So what is it, Tim Pool? Do you know a bunch of people who have a bunch of money and are posted up doing well from your childhood that went to college, or do you know a bunch of people who didn't go to college and aren't doing well? Because it's always he ping pongs between it rapidly to whatever the story he's talking about at the time is. So either he knows hundreds of thousands of people from when he was 16, or Tim Pool is full of shit.
Maybe I'll find a 25-year-old. They're not worried at all.
Right. No, and also because they don't have a biological clock and all of that. But you know, you are a prime example of a guy who decided that wasn't enough, and you manned up your own life. Look at what you're doing, right? You're the guy who said, no, this is not fulfilling for me to only skateboard or sit on the couch or Tinder porn watch, right? You decided that, no, I have potential. I have great potential. I don't even know my potential because I haven't even started it yet. And then you did.
Tim Pool literally makes videos complaining about how women don't date him. Bro, what are you talking about? Like, unless she's talking about the empire that he built where he stole from his brother. Like,
and you're still going, and you're still going. You're building a media empire, right?
Yep,
You're a man.
Yeah,
and that's
the media empire that he
sexy.
stole from his brother. If it's so sexy to women, though, why is... You know what? Hold on. Tim Pool can't be me. Or couldn't be me, probably, I think it is. Yep.
I can't possibly have babies because of climate change. You know?
Right, which is nonsense.
No, of
But I
course.
do think it's crazy that I'm about to be 34 and I have no family. Because my dad had 2 kids by the time he was 27.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you know what the problem is, though? It's definitely not me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's everybody else.
Yeah.
Definitely not me. It's just everybody else, bro. But he's super sexy, and all the women are attracted to him. But it's definitely not his fault that he doesn't have a family.
See, for a guy to be sitting on the couch, you know, swiping on Tinder. Women don't find that appealing. And
it works for him.
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. There's also a lot of men who are depressed. A lot of men who, unfortunately commit.
Tim Pool and his brother had a big falling out where essentially they both, during the Occupy Wall Street days, were the guys that started the original site that he was on. And a bunch of the registration and stuff was under Tim Pool's brother. I think for the LLC and stuff that he was in too was under Tim Pool's brother. I'm not certain on that though. And eventually Tim Pool's brother ended up getting ousted from the company, but still had like a large portion of ownership of a lot of the stuff that they did. And they'd been fighting like court battles back and forth for a while over it. I don't know if it got settled out or what happened with it. But yeah, essentially Tim Pool's brother, at least what he claimed when he was taking him to court, was that Tim Pool's brother was the main founder of the site. And that essentially Tim Pool came on afterwards and then took over. I don't know how much of that is 100% valid because I never followed. Actually, let's see. Let's see if the case ever got followed up on or anything. Tim Pool brother controversy. No, it's still ongoing, I think. Let's see if I can just look up Chris. Wow, no mention of Tim Pool's brother in his Wikipedia, though. That's nuts. Christopher Pool. Let's see, need help with the yeah, no, he still has his GoFundMe up for legal fees here. Okay. Yeah, no, he's still in court on that over that then. So we'll see what comes of that. But yeah, the claim is that Tim essentially stole the media empire from him.
Suicide, a lot of men who are overdosing, who are aimless, and they're getting older and they don't know how to get out of it. And I'm hoping one of the silver linings of COVID is that men who are forced to be alone, that there was no other choice. Maybe life needs a little more meaning. And again, that's where a partner, a woman or man in his life can help him get there.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast.
So that last part was the only thing of like salience that she actually said. Absolutely, you do need people to confide in and to help you get through life, like for sure. Now, feminism isn't stopping you from doing that. Like none of that is really true, and honestly, they didn't ever really say anything to support that in the video that he posted here. So, I mean, if they ever have, like, an argument to it, maybe I'll come back and revisit, like, an actual argument for it. But really, all you need to take from this is Tim Pool is over 34 and doesn't have a family because he has a bad personality. Hey, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Helps the channel grow a bunch, and I really do appreciate it. And with that being said, I hope y'all have a good one. Okay, I'll be right back. I gotta go to the bathroom really bad. Actually, hold on. I'll put on something for you. I won't just leave you. Oh, a small webcam. Drank too much water. Just another Tearso video. Fuck it. Free tier list. Here we go.
Only pay for what you need with Liberty Mutual. I just said that.
I just used Taco Bell's app to build my $5 cravings box filled with veggie options. My head said black beans, but my heart...
Trees are one of the most meta-defining organisms in the game. When the devs first added them to the game back during the Carboniferous expansion pack, they were so overpowered that they increased the oxygen level to the highest it's ever been, inadvertently buffing the max HP of the arthropod faction. Since then, they've been an ever-present aspect of the game that defines how many of the top builds construct their various game strategies. For example, many of the top builds spec into claws that grant them mobility bonuses in the arboreal biome, which is literally a biome that only exists because of how overpowered trees are. But are all trees equally overpowered? Obviously, the only way to answer that question would be with a tier list. So let's get into it. Obviously, this can't be an exhaustive list, but nonetheless, it's what must be done. There aren't any F-tier trees, so we're going to start in D-tier. The birch tree has some of the lowest defenses of any tree in the game. Of all the tree builds, this one has the thinnest bark, making it highly vulnerable to damage that other tree builds would easily ignore. For example, damage from deer players sharpening their antlers, or woodpeckers drilling for prey. Most tree builds don't even take damage from this, as their bark would completely nullify it. But the birch tree is uniquely vulnerable. On top of this, birch trees are actually more flammable than most trees, due to their oily sap and paper-like bark. Now, all trees are weak to fire, but many of them at least have ways of mitigating this vulnerability, as we shall see with many of the higher-ranking members on this list. Next on the list is the oak tree. The oak is one of the most powerful tree builds in the late game. It can grow higher and wider than most other tree builds, allowing it to crowd out its competition. It has thick bark, which protects it from weak damage. The oak is also protected at least somewhat from parasites, because its wood and foliage contain tannic acid, a natural deterrent. This is all really solid, and in general, once an oak reaches the late game, it's one of the most powerful and durable tree builds. However, oaks have a really difficult early game, more difficult than most tree builds. The starting form of the oak build is the acorn, which is highly sought after by omnivorous players as they're a great source of XP. So despite oak trees being a great build overall, lately they've been falling in viability as the number of small scavenger builds, like squirrels and woodpeckers, have seen a surge in population recently. To combat this, some oak tree clans have started implementing a strategy where they'll drop 0 acorns some years, starving out the local scavenger players, and then releasing extra the following year, giving new oak mains a better chance to survive. In B tier, we have the maple tree. The maple build is sort of the jack of all trades of the tree faction. While it can't grow as large as some of the others, it doesn't get crowded out nearly as easily as birch trees do. Its bark isn't as impenetrable as builds like the oak, but it also certainly isn't weak. One of the reasons maple players can spawn in new locations so easily is that their seeds actually have the flight ability. While not quite as effective as the drifting ability of plants like the dandelion and milkweed, the maple can still travel long distances with its helicopter Samara seeds. Nothing else about the maple is particularly broken though, and oftentimes this playstyle eventually gets overshadowed by trees that grow bigger and stronger and choke out the maples. Perhaps if the maple didn't put so many points into aesthetics, they'd be top tier. In A tier we have perhaps one of the most meta-defining tree builds in the entire game, the mangrove. The mangrove is the only tree build in the game that specs into salt resistance, allowing it to grow in shallow places along the coast of the ocean. This creates an entirely new in-game biome called the mangrove swamp. The mangrove swamp is unique among the game's biomes in that it creates an extremely healthy meta for arboreal builds because they no longer have to fear attacks from ground-based predators. Mangrove swamps are havens for new aquatic bird players, as well as low tiers like the sloth, seeing as most builds that
I
are prone to
assume other
losing them
swamps are
aren't
creepy
fond of
too.
traversing
Just
a
Florida
salty swamp.
swamps are the only ones
Salt
I've been
resistance
to.
is an ability that often gets overlooked, but in the right situations, it can turn a lesser-known mid-tier into a dominant high tier. The top-tier tree is the conifer. The conifer build is a unique take on the tree build that makes some very interesting choices when it comes to their abilities. The most obvious is that they've opted to spec into needles rather than leaves, offering a few advantages and disadvantages. The biggest advantage is that needles don't fall during winter. They're compact enough that they can survive frosts, so the conifer is free to harvest all the XP it wants from the sun, even during the winter when other trees can't. But in addition to that, needles also don't catch wind near as much, meaning high winds can't blow conifers over nearly as easily as they could a tree with broad leaves on it. Needles are also much tougher for insects to munch on, and also retain water much more effectively, meaning droughts or deep freezes don't dehydrate conifer players. Their disadvantage? Conifers are extremely weak to fire damage. Their waxy needles catch fire much easier than most trees. However, this is where the conifer's final ability comes into play. Their pine cones are fire resistant and spread seeds more often after being scorched by a flame. Because of this, conifers turn their main weakness into a strength. Due to this amazing slew of abilities, I have to give the ranking of S tier to the conifers. It's no wonder that the giant sequoia, the largest tree build in the game, is part of the conifer faction. However, as OP as trees are...
I used to live out in, like, Redding, California, and, like, the redwoods... Hold on, let me see if I can find a picture of it for you guys. The redwoods up in Redding are so pretty, dude. Like, it's a real pretty area. Have a good night, Wagado. Yeah, take a look at that. Like, it's so pretty. I kind of miss it. There's just nothing out there, though. Like, nothing really to do. I mean, I moved when I was a child, so I didn't make that choice. But yeah, there's nothing really out there in Northern Cali. I mean, you could head up to Sacramento and find work out there, but, like, really, if you're not hitting Sacramento or, like, working in a shop in Redding, you're pretty much just doing logging, and I'm not a logger. Like... You can see me, I'm not a logger. Grandpa was, though. Great-grandpa, actually, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, one great-grandpa was a logger, one was a farmer. One was a farmer in Ethiopia, though, so that's... changes things up a little bit, eh? Why is it just a picture of Jim Morrison? What the fuck? Just redwood sneakers. All right. I think we hit the end of that there. Oh, let me get some more water in me, and we're gonna start going over some Transbill stuff. Finish out the stream with that. Oh. Man, I still need to do research for my video essay, too. Give you guys a little hint. I'm working on... actually, I can show you a little bit of what I'm working on if I just hit that. And go a beep-a-deep-a-dip-a-dip. Mondragon. Working on a piece on the Mondragon Corporation. Essentially, I'm just doing like a brief introduction to worker cooperatives, and then like a breakdown, a brief introduction of what the Mondragon Corporation is, stuff like that. I'll leave like a comprehensive like link for you to do more research for in the description. But I'm kind of I've hit a little bit of a roadblock where like I don't know if I want to how I want to do it. I don't know how I want to structure the video exactly and what exactly I want to talk about within the corporation because there's so much there that breaking it down into a short video is kind of difficult. But I'll work on it. I'll figure it out. It'll be out by I shouldn't give you a day, but I'm gonna pray that it'll be out by next Tuesday. Monday or two, not this upcoming one, but the next week. So like 7, 8, 9 days, somewhere between 7 and 9 days is where I'm thinking that video will come out. Hopefully the writing's good. We'll see though. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't written any of it yet. It's been a rough one. I've done a bunch of research though. Let's see. I want the text. Yeah, there's my HR5. Actually, I don't need the text of HR5. We know what it is. It's just an amendment to add sexual orientation to the Civil Rights Act of '64. Well, I mean, all the other equality laws and acts and stuff, too. Get a large webcam for this one. You're going to have to look at my ugly mug. My ugly mug. Fix my hair. I have a little thing at the start of every one of these videos, too, describing why I don't have a beard anymore and that it'll be back, so. Hopefully, it shouldn't freak people out too much. I know I look awful without a beard, dude. Wait, so I want to talk. Okay. Okay, yeah, let's go over this. Kind of do a bit of a comprehensive, like, here's what's happening, here's who you can contact. Those of you who are into the, or not into the, but in the LGBTQ sphere, or really have been paying attention to politics over the last month or so, have to have noticed that there is a huge rush of anti-trans legislation that's coming out state level that's being hit all across the US. In total, we're at 31 states right now that have introduced anti-trans legislation and bills, and like it's a lot of them are pretty ridiculous. I mean, it goes from as far as just like putting limitations on specific age ranges for puberty blockers, all the way to I believe it was it Alabama? Is Alabama or Texas that would or maybe Georgia that gave like coaches permission to essentially genital check children to make sure that they're the correct gender for the sport that they're going to go and play in. So if you were assigned male at birth and have male genitalia in transition, not only would the law say that you couldn't play in female sports, but they are going to pull your pants down and check even if you are like, now obviously if that ever got through and was enforced by some tragedy of errors, you still wouldn't be enforced fully. Like, it wouldn't be every kid out there getting checked. What they would do is they target trans kids. Kids they knew were trans or suspect were trans. They would they would humiliate them and make them expose themselves to these adults. The alternative is that it wouldn't be disproportionately like targeting trans kids, and then they are genital checking just every child who plays sports. At that point, you would literally be telling the high school football coach to check 40 penises. Sorry, to check for 40 penises. Or the, like, females coach for soccer, baseball, whatever. Like, yeah, I'm going to have you sign, like, your daughter would be bringing home a form that says, yeah, this teacher is about to check 40 little girls' genitals tomorrow for you to sign. Like, that would be in your sports disclosure forms. There's no way that they can even pretend that that's for the protection of children, because, I mean, come on. What I just described very obviously isn't. The point is just to hurt people. And let's be real, a lot of these ones that are as ridiculous as that genital inspection thing are just a virtue signal to other conservatives that you're the biggest, baddest, meanest of the conservatives, and you really, really don't like them transes. And that's all in the hopes for getting reelected, let's be real. But I figured what we're going to do a bit is we're going to go over some of the legislation that's going through, that's coming out, and we're going to talk about what the Equality Act is a bit, so we can talk about what can get done here at a federal level, and I'm going to leave some links down below in the description for who you can contact for your state senator level. And I'll also leave, for specific bills that I think are really, really horrendous, I'm going to leave the text of them down there, and very specifically a senator's phone number for that state. I mean, it'll all be in the description. Please, I do implore you to check it out. That part will be cut out of the video, it's fine. So, we're going to go ahead and get started out here with the good old boys in Alabama. Alabama is now voting on 2 bills that would make it so doctors can't treat trans youths with like hormone blockers or HRT at all. I believe it's like SB 10 and HB 3 or 2, HB something that's for Alabama, and it legitimately makes it a felony for doctors to treat trans youth with any gender affirming care. There's also a bill, I know that one's HB 391, but there's also a bill that's going out in Alabama currently that would ban trans people from participating in any children's sports, kindergarten through 12th grade. It wouldn't extend to colleges, though. Other states are going to try to do that. But Alabama's like, I don't know if our state's rights go that far. Arkansas is what we're going to go on to next here. On March 29th, they actually became the first state to pass a bill making it prohibiting doctors from treating trans youth. It was the Save Adolescents from Experimentation Act that was vetoed. It got vetoed in like the middle of this month in April. Sorry, last month now, in April. And then was just overturned for that veto on April 6th. It's going to take effect summer of this year. And it very legitimately makes it illegal for doctors to treat trans youth. Like, now obviously, that not for like a knee surgery or something. It has to be pertaining to like gender reaffirming things or anything like that. But it's legitimately just no, no, no. Excuse me. It's legitimately just like, oh, no, no, no. You're just not allowed to have medical care for the thing that causes the high rates of suicides in trans people. No, we're just not going to do that. Not even that the state won't pay for it. The state is prohibiting that from happening at all within the state. That is one. I will be leaving you the text for the SAFE Act. Let me actually make sure. I'm going to just pull up in a separate tab so I don't forget. I'm going to leave you the text for the SAFE Act down below because that is absolutely ridiculous. And that passed. Most of these are things that aren't going to pass that are just sitting in the House because people want to virtue signal at each other. But no, this passed. It went through. So yeah, in a couple of months actually, it's going to get really bad for trans youth in Arkansas, and I honestly don't even know what to say about that. This one's harder to repeal too. Well, it's hard to do anything about too because it's already through. Like, at least before, it wasn't good, but at least before, these are things you could contact representatives for and try to make sure it doesn't get through your state's house. Arkansas already just blew it on through. Nothing to be done anymore. Except have it repealed by another politician. And that would probably take Arkansas turning blue for that to happen. Oh, and then of course, they're also putting in some bills to make it so trans youth can't participate in school sports at all. Because cruelty's kind of the point. I believe, yeah, we're on to Arizona next. Arizona's SB 1511 would punish doctors with over a decade in prison for providing HRT or puberty blockers to minors. So just anyone under 18, doctors would go to prison for a decade for giving them drugs that would, I don't know, maybe help them with their gender dysphoria. Like, legitimately, what that reads as is, hey, your assistance in stopping somebody from killing themselves, you're getting a decade in prison for that, bud. Very nice. Oh, and then, of course, also making laws to ban trans athletes from school sports. Which, if you've watched any of my other trans rights videos, you know how I feel about that. I do think we obviously need more data on everything. More data never hurts anybody. But what it clearly looks like to me, with the data that we have available at this time in 2021, I'll even mark it. This is May 2nd of 2021. Anything, all the information I have up to this point pretty much doesn't show that, like, a fully transitioned child performs better than one that didn't transition. The example that conservatives love to point to is that little redheaded loser that was real mad that she lost at some track meeting because there's two trans girls who beat her. So, first off, the two trans girls didn't even win her meet. They beat her out for 8th place to get into the nationals. They got like 5th and 6th or something like. It was very, very low. Then they go to nationals and get blown the fuck out by a cis woman. It turns out it has way more to do with your training and your muscular structure and things like that than just if you had testosterone at some point. There's just not much information out there that would point me otherwise at the moment. I could see something for maybe like fighters, but that would just be weight class in my opinion at that point. I don't know. There'd need to be more data put out on that for me to get like a definite on that portion of it. But I can say definitely that letting your trans girl, like letting a trans girl play football with the other girls, because, oh yeah, sorry. I forget conservatives are mad about that too. We have women's football. A trans girl playing football with the other girls isn't going to be a problem. Like, it just isn't in high school. Sorry. Just isn't. It's not that big a deal. I will eat crow if some data comes out to prove me wrong. But so far, all the data that comes out has pointed me to this position I'm at right now. So, let's see. Georgia has one of the really, really bad ones. Georgia is has a bill that's being voted on right now that would criminalize gender affirming care, essentially just mainly like HRT and puberty blockers for minors in general. And then they have two bills preventing trans athletes from participating in school and university sports programs, even at private institutions. So not funded by the state at all. And by the way, Georgia, states' rights, Georgia, is telling these schools who they can and cannot have play. Like, it's such an absolute joke whenever you hear fucking a conservative talk about liberties or anything like that, because they don't care. They don't care at all. It's literally just about what makes their team feel good at the time. Florida, as well, is voting on a bill that would make gender affirming care, HRT, and purity blockers illegal for minors. And that's just everyone under 18 again. Essentially, what they're saying, like what all of these states are saying that are banning these gender affirming care for minors, and even to the point of putting doctors in prison for it. What they're saying is that, well, we'll believe you once you turn 18 that you have gender dysphoria and that maybe you need some help. But before that, we would like you to go through your most formative years and also the years while people are the most cruel to other people in a body that you don't feel good with. In fact, we would like to force you to do that on the off chance that you might feel better about it later. And then they're surprised why the trans suicide rate is as high as it is, when there's just this level of non-acceptance from everyone around. Iowa, as well, is making a medical ban that would prohibit gender-affirming care for minors, except with the exception, though, of intersex youth. See, Iowa was like, well, hold on. We're not Georgia. We're just gonna, make it a little awful for everyone. Like, now if you're born with both gonads, we don't care. Like, that's fine. We'll let you go ahead and have your surgeries and whatever. But gender affirming care for anybody else, although gender affirming care would still, help people just as much. No, 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 no. Fucking nonsense, dude. Now, obviously, I don't think that they should ban it for people who are intersex as well. I think that neither should be banned. Let's see. I'm just gonna skip around a bit, see if we, because I mean, you guys kind of get the point so far, but we'll see if we get any more that are like unique or specifically crazy. Because there's the one about children, like that requires like schools to report on the kids too. That's the one I'm looking for. trans school parent disclosure. That should find it. No. Okay, I'm finding a bunch of like legal guides and stuff. Okay, well I'll figure out what state it was that's doing that in a minute. Let's see. Here's a fun one. Kentucky is making a bill that would make providing gender affirming care for trans minors illegal, but also protect public officials who express views against gender affirming care. So essentially, they're trying to pass a bill that would not only make it so you couldn't get the care, but to protect people who wanted to just openly lie about the care as much as they could. Well, as long as they're a public official, of course. We can't let any of the dirty pores get it right. There we go. It's Louisiana. I finally found it. Louisiana would make it illegal for doctors to provide gender affirming care to minors without parental consent, namely gender affirming therapy, puberty blockers, and HRT. Now, that means anyone under 18, and also that means that they would send, like, if someone's disclosing feelings of gender dysphoria and stuff like that, they would then send that information to the parents if that was disclosed to a counselor. So let's do the math. Conservative area, a child who doesn't want to talk to like their parents about this, obviously, because they're going to a counselor about it. And I mean like a school counselor, typically. You're going to call their parents and be like, yeah, by the way, your son identifies as a woman. So that what? The kid can go home and have their shithead father beat the living shit out of her? Like, are you kidding me? It's an absolutely dangerous bill that does not care for the lives of children at all. And I mean, it's like you could say that for all of these because it's taking away affirming care and stuff like that. But this is, you can draw a direct line to how a kid will be killed by their parents if this goes through. 100%. There will be, if this goes through, a closeted trans child who discloses something to the wrong person that then legally has to send a notification to their parent, and then when that person that child gets home, their parent's going to beat the living shit out of them because they're a homophobe, transphobe. Like, I can guarantee you that will happen if this goes through. So if anyone sits there and tells you that they care about children while they support this kind of crap, they're a fucking liar. I think I might have gotten through enough of them, but let's see. Oh no, I didn't go through all of them because I have to go through Texas. Okay. And the worst of them all here is Texas. I mean, no surprise that Texas isn't doing great for LGBTQ issues. But Texas is legitimately considering a bill that would change the definition of child abuse to include providing a trans minor with gender affirmation legitimately would make it so that if you have a trans daughter and you say, yeah, you're my daughter, and you're helping, you're going to take her to care, take her to psych, everything, you're trying to be as supportive as you can and be a good parent, that kid can be taken away from you. Because people in Texas, I say people, legislatures in Texas have decided that you're abusing your little girl because you're willing to accept who she is and you're willing to help her move along in life. Like, it's absolutely disgusting. Once again, this is the party of people who will tell you how much they care about children while they're currently trying to pass bills to remove children from caring parents' households. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And like I said, Texas is the worst of them. It definitely has stuff about like school sports there too. It's blocking any gender affirming treatment like HRT or puberty blockers. If I remember right, insurance companies would have to deny coverage to trans youth just entirely. Like, if you're trans, you just can't have health insurance as a child. Like, it's absolutely just cruelty for the sake of cruelty. And I don't know how anybody can look at it otherwise. But I said a bit of what we can do. I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to leave specifically Arkansas and Texas senators and the governor. I'm going to leave their contact information down below, but also a list of everywhere that you can contact, depending on your state, who to contact and where for any type of issue, really, if you're trying to for something that's going through state legislature. And what we're also going to do is we're going to look at a little bit. I'm just going to talk about what the Equality Act HR 5 is, and say that that's going to be our first really big step. Because everything I've talked about now is state level, so it would require states to ratify and states to change like what they're doing on it exactly. But this being done federally, first off, doesn't only just add people's sexual orientation to protections for things like employment, housing, credit, federal programs, jury duties, education, access to public places, all kinds of stuff like that that's under our current Civil Rights Act and like Fair Housing Act currently doesn't apply to trans people. That's what HR 5 does, is it adds sexual orientation to that. So it would apply. I think that's incredibly important. It's honestly kind of a no-brainer. It's not it shouldn't be something that anyone's really worried about. So of course Marjorie Taylor Greene and her Republican ghoul crew have decided that it's imperative to push things like the state legislature that I've talked about right now to move the zeitgeist back over against trans people. It's saddening. Oh no, my camera's gone. I'll fix that. That'll get cut out. Okay, it's back. Oh God. Yeah, the Equality Act is, like I said, a first big step, because getting sexual orientation added to that Civil Rights Act will solve a lot of problems in the trans community when it comes to like employment and like being able to get into public housing and things like that they needed sometimes. But it also will help push the cultural zeitgeist over to help to move these state level bills back further. I mean, it's going to take activism, don't get me wrong, absolutely. Getting H.R. 5 passed, even though it went through the House, by the way, it did pass. Passed through the House, just wait, we need to see when it gets voted on at the Senate. But, like, getting things like that passed, it's going to take activism for sure. It's going to take protest. It's going to take getting people's awareness up, getting people to actually understand that trans people are just people. Like, it's going to take a whole lot of that and moving the zeitgeist over. But getting HR 5 through will be a big part of that. They'll help us change a lot of what's going on in these states. And hopefully, if HR 5 passes before states even start going through and trying to vote on these, or we help move the zeitgeist over far enough, a lot of these will die before they hit their state's house, or before they even after it and don't actually get ratified. Like, that's pretty much the only thing that can be done at this time and place in the system that we're in to help with this. I mean, obviously, your specifics on organizing and protesting need to be specific to your organization and your area, but that's the path forward. If we want trans people to be safe and to not have to deal with the possibility of their doctors going to prison or doctors refusing to deal with them because they're afraid to go to prison, then, I mean, and so many more things, like everything I just went over here, then our path forward is going to be contacting your state and local representatives all the time. I do it once a week. Do it once a week. Just do it. It's set up an alert on your phone, have it pop off while like an hour or two before you go to work on some day. I do it on Fridays, and just call them up. You'll usually just talk to a secretary or something, let them know what your concern is, and then move along. It's not going to change anything one by one, but it's letting that person know that this portion of their constituents care about this. And then, like, outside of that, I mean, that's what you can do that's easy. The rest is up to you on, one, are you in an organization? If you're in an organization, you need to go and you need to talk to the organizers in that organization about what they have planned for it, if they have any town halls, what's going on with it. And then if they don't, ask them if, like, hey, maybe that's something that we could get done. See if there's someone who's a senior organizer who has experience doing it, who'd be willing to help you set it up. Activism is a sloppy, sloppy mess, but it's how we get things done. And I mean, look, like, Obama wasn't going to make gay people able to be married, like, federally without someone pushing the zeitgeist, and we went out and did it. Now it's time for, and like I said, I'm a straight cis dude. Now, but if we're going to be in solidarity, that means everyone together at all times. I will fight for trans rights just like I'll fight for black rights, just like I'll fight for men's rights. I fight for human rights. So even if you aren't trans, you need just please take time out of your day to just help as much as you can with this, because this is the way. What we're seeing right now is being able to go one of two ways. Either America accepts trans people and we move along to it being just hardcore bigots who hate them the way that gay people are now, or we can go down the other hard path and have a full-on, like, regression. And if they make no mistake, if they win with trans people, they're coming for gay people next. Like, it will be a regression until it's just down to no groups that they don't, like, dislike. that are able to be publicly out there and active. Make absolutely no mistake about that. So please, 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 please go down below. Check out the links to where to contact your state representatives. And just give them a ring. See what you can do. And I do hope, and this was such a downer, I hope you enjoyed the video and you enjoy my content. If you did, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow, and I do appreciate it a ton. And with that out of the way, I hope you all have a good one. Okay. Okay, I'll do that later. That's pretty much it for what I had content planned, actually. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Camera down, pimp in distress. Camera back. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty much all I really had for content planned out. I mean, we streamed for like 4 hours. It wasn't too bad. Unless if there's anyone in chat, like, is there anything you want me to cover? Any news or anything? Any spicy tweets that you see? Like,
So we're getting into it again. It's going to be Gama versus Kusanagi.
Oops. My bad. I did not mean to... I accidentally just pulled up the... Because I watch a lot of Street Fighter content. I accidentally just pulled up the Capcom Cup. I believe that's what's on Capcom Fires right now, actually. It's Capcom Cup, right? Yeah, it is. It's the qualifiers for Capcom Cup, baby. I'll check that out a little bit, actually.
Oh. Catches him out the air.
I don't know if you guys like fighting games, but I love them.
You never just go into a straight special from it, so...
Kusanagi's a fucking beast, too.
When they hit it out of the air. Oh!
He tried to tag. That was the bait. You see that? The whip throw, +2.
Yeah, exactly. Whip throws +2 in Street Fighter V right there. Gamma got caught reaching. And Kusanagi more than ready to be teaching him a lesson.
A lesson that is completely false.
Oh, yeah, I like this. The crouch medium punch has been coming out a lot from Kusanagi, too, now in the Kami matchup as well. Just these characters that I think, oh my goodness.
That was clean.
And the damage, you know, I like him spending this bar early because he gets Oki after this. Back throw will stun.
I thought he was going to do it. Oh, okay, well, this
air throw?
That was solid.
That would have been cool. Well, actually, no. I don't think he would have stunned him either way, so, yeah, my mistake.
There you go.
Nice and easy for the second round.
Yeah,
easy peasy.
The sequence, like the duration of the DP allowed for that stun bar to start depleting, right? I would have loved to see the air throw too.
I mean, Nicole, if anyone's wondering.
But now back to
it's been a rough day.
Game. Man,
it's been a rough day. It's been a rough game
already.
Ooh.
I love Nicole though. He's so
crouching
cool.
Heavy, or excuse me, crouching medium punch counter hit.
Ooh, perfectly timed jump.
And optimizing it, going full into the target combo.
Oh my goodness, just raw heavy kick Tatsu.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, -2.
That was solid. That's clean.
V-shift. I love her V-break animation. That leaves her a -2.
And opting not to go for any sort of fireballs. Kusanagi is really fishing for this hit off of any of the kicks, right? Low, medium kick, stand roundhouse. But Gamma hasn't shown us any sort of dive.
Still got that V-trigger up too, though.
Yeah, it's a great point. Gamma's
wearing
really
grands, like
even resulting to the hooligan to make sure
he gets that V-trigger, bro.
Oh no!
The stand medium punch. We talked about it. Ooh.
Or shit, burn some of your. I was gonna say, burn some EX, bro.
Wow, yes. I do like that option. I love seeing the air-to-air options from both players.
Yeah. And at this point, yeah, you see Gamma fishing a little bit more with that stand medium kick. Great throw. Kusanagi, brave throw, but it worked out.
I feel like
I thought that was gonna get tech for sure.
Yeah, what a great way to take advantage of the activation freeze timer. I do like that. With punishing a roundhouse, going straight into the activation from Gamma, that was a very veteran play.
That was a high-level Street
That was
Fighter
clean
5
as
right there.
fuck,
Gamma, as
dude.
you mentioned, using the screen freeze and the spiral arrow so fast in that V-trigger, able to punish that roundhouse, which is the tried and true for Kusanagi, right? That's his button. That's like what his entire ground game on Sakura revolves around. So if you could do something like that, make him second guess doing it in the future, I mean, his back's against the ropes at this point. 2-0, and this is tournament game for Gamma.
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, Kusanagi was definitely aware of how he wanted to play
This has
the
been a
ground
really
game,
good
and
tourney.
He actually forced Gamma.
All right, I won't make you guys watch any more of it. That was a really good tourney, though. Capcom, I mean, Street Fighter 5 is not my game. I still prefer 4. I mean, I still prefer Third Strike over anything. But like, that's still been a killer Capcom Cup. Anyway, at 4 hours, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here, guys. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. And I will see y'all next time.